From author Brian K. Morris comes a classic hero in a high-flying, fast-paced, and action-packed steampunk adventure. The original Skyman battles the Master of Steam with an introduction by comics icon and historian Roy Thomas. A Rising Tide, an Ace Comics publication. Available now in print or digital format on Amazon.com.
Seconds.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Clever Title Pending, where we talk about creativity and the business behind it. Hope you're having a great Tuesday so far. This is the March 30th, 2021 edition. We're glad you're here. We've got a really great guest coming up. And if nothing else, he and I are just going to talk and hope the rest of you have something to say later. But anyway, we're going to have a good time. But first of all, let's get our thank yous out of the way. Thank you to PlasmaFireGraphics.com for sponsoring this episode. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. When you know that great art will sell your book cover. So definitely check out Plasma Fire Graphics, because you saw their book trailers. They also have other graphics you can use in your promotion. Contact Jeffrey Hayes at PlasmaFireGraphics.com. Also give some love to their Facebook page, if you would. And speaking of love, we love that we are powered by the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Please check out these shows. Take a screen capture of that, if you will. We've got your entertainment and information covered 7 days a week, and we cover everything from comic books to promotion, to business, to cigars, to adult beverages, all kinds of really cool stuff. If you want to level up your creative game, we're the place to be. Rising Tide Network, check it out. And also, we want to give some love to our Patreon subscribers there. Go to www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris and see what even $1 a month can do for you. We've got all kinds of great incentives for you. So please check us out at patreon.com. And I'm really excited about our guests. We've been friends for a very short while, but we've bonded on so many issues here, and mostly our love of comic books and the medium itself. And this guy is not just an incredible writer and artist. He is a business person. He's got it going on. So you better get some note-taking material, because you may learn something tonight. And I am privileged to bring X&G Studios, Mr. Joe D. McFee, who is bringing to you Amazonia, his book there. You better check it out, everyone. Joe D. McFee, welcome to the show, my friend.
You know, this guy, Joe D. McFee, he writes a decent comic book. Oh,
I hear it's amazing. Yeah, there we go. You hear about Watchmen, but that stuff is toilet paper compared to Amazonia. You know what I'm saying?
No, I won't go that far.
I'm trying to help you, man.
I won't go that far, but it's close. It's
there
close.
You go. See, humility becomes you. So, tell you what, Joe, I'm going to give you the whole screen here. Tell everybody who you are and why you are so darned awesome.
I am pretty much just me, to be quite honest here. I'm just Joe D. McFee. I am the president of C2C Studios. I am the writer and creator of we just saw Amazonia. This is the 10th one of the variant covers of the 10th anniversary edition here. And this is like the homage cover that I did in 3D that actually mimics the actual cover that you can see right there from the original first version of that.
Uh-huh.
I also am the writer and creator of Primetime Saturday Night, which is the female pro wrestling. If you like WWE Raw and SmackDown and AEW, this is your book here. And its parent book, I'm also the creator of its parent book, AWF, which actually deals with the behind the scenes, that really deals with the fact that they actually have superpowers, that they pretty much being trained to be the next generation of superheroes. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those books handy. Well, actually, I do. I don't want to unpack those boxes. Just to give you an idea, these two boxes here, those are going to Hunter Killer Collectibles. They're going to have a virtual signing um, dealing with me, and those are their signed books with the certificate of authenticity. So pretty much I've been kind of busy here. So that's one of
Yeah.
those type of things here.
And also, you have a YouTube channel from the desk of a small press publisher.
Oh, that small little thing. It's pretty much people twisting my arm. Interview me. Interview me. Like, can I bet you? Interview me. Oh, can I bet you though? They're like, yes, okay, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. And that you bring up a good point that I remember on Facebook, I mentioned vetting guests, and I had so many other, I think you were part of that conversation. So many people were like, you actually screen your guests? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I only want one loose cannon on the show, and I was here first. So, it's like, but one thing about vetting, like if you were to recommend somebody, I would say, okay, yeah, I'll take a chance on that. But otherwise I'm pretty selective about who I have on, hence why you're here.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
one cool thing about vetting is that you get all these people saying, hey, I got this book coming out, or I'm about to crowdfund for this. And I'm up here, it's like, but what have you done?
Yes.
What is truly tangible that I could, pull up and look at and see that you are doing what you say that you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we talk about that stuff on the show.
Right.
If for those who have ever watched From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, it's pretty much informal.
Yeah.
I don't have preformed questions or anything. You pretty much come on and we just have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I might pull up, your crowdfunding campaign, your company website, or wherever you have your books and stuff at, or whatever art that you have, and we just talk about the different stuff in life in general.
Yeah.
What it's like to be in the industry, and some of the cool things that we come across and stuff to that magnitude. It's like anything goes, but yet it's so informal that it makes people relax.
Yeah.
And my goal is on that show is to make that other person look cool.
Yeah. I think it's, that being hosts, I think that is our job to, I can't remember the exact term for it. I used to know, but it's basically to give honor to the other person for their accomplishments, for what they're doing, or just for being an interesting human being. And I keep telling people, I don't care if you have anything to sell, but do you have something to say?
Exactly.
And that's, because how many times have you had somebody come on and he turns it into an infomercial?
Oh, it never gets that way.
Good man.
I never give them the opportunity to do it until we talk about that particular thing. My first thing is like, okay, I bring you on, just like how you brought me on.
Right.
Tell us about yourself. And they start talking about certain things about themselves. And the first question that I ask is typically something that they mention.
Yeah.
About who they are and what they are and stuff to that magnitude.
Sure.
And that brings the tempo down to people going to get to know you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the cool thing. People need to get to know you and not just only your product.
Right. Yeah, and that's been one of the goals. I have to say the goals of this show, and one of the things that attracts me to your show is that it's not here's my Kickstarter, here's my product, here are the books I've got. Like last night we had the great John Celestri on. Please go back and watch that, folks. You're in for a treat. And then to find out
that was a special edition that has to be like bookmarked, and if you could save it, to like a how can I put this, to like a specialized list of things to go back to watch, or like a viewing list. That's one of the interviews that you have to watch.
It turned out very well, and I'm not saying because the interviewer is so great either, but
I
appreciate that though, Joe. I really do appreciate that, Joe.
That has a lot to do with it, because the interviewer can make or break it. Can make or break a show.
Oh yeah, and I gotta say you are terrific, and you've had some challenging guests just in the time I've been watching you. So, it's not, and you have a variety of people, and that's not easy to do. To have a variety of people that have different interests, different strengths as a creator, and then you bring them onto the show to reveal what they are like. So
Yeah, I pretty much fly by the seat of my pants only because of the way that I vet.
mm-hmm.
A lot of times when I know that they're vetting Kickstarters and stuff, I switch goals to like, we want to talk about you.
Yeah.
And then when I have people coming on, it's like, oh, I want to talk about, what I stand for, this, that, and the other. I force them to talk about the book.
Sure.
Because again, it's like I try not to be political. To me, this stuff is fun. You're supposed to have fun with comics. You're supposed to have fun with your passion. It's not about always about work.
Oh God, no. And I will say that a lot of times I do this show just casual. I did I will total transparency. I did list 4 things that Joe and I had
that I told you about beforehand. It's like we go to talk about it.
We are going to talk about it.
I'm looking at these comments, and it's like I get that some people are talking to one another, but
they don't care about us at all. I'm sorry, Joe.
I saw a couple of questions. I was like, I got you faded, as they say in the hood. I got you faded. I got to answer those questions.
Exactly. Well, okay, then we'll get to them then. Yes, and we agree with Carl Witzman. Hello to Cindy Kep, who was on the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS with me an hour ago. Cindy, always glad to see you. And Teresa Dunn, hello, glad to see you too. And Carleen, alarm goes off, wakes up again. Hi, everyone. Boy, fresh as a daisy. Glad you're here, Carly. And putting my like on now so I don't forget. Yes, thank you. If you were watching the show on Facebook, or whether you're watching there or on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up. Give it a like if you enjoy any part of it. Or if you want to make me mad at you, if you hate everything I do, it would annoy me if you put a thumbs up and subscribed. And also, you did it to Joe's too. That would really torque us both off. So if you hate us both, do that. Okay. Anyway, I figure I'll try reverse psychology. Maybe that'll do. And yeah, Cindy, we did have fun. Definitely check out Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. We had some fun on there. And Brian Rodman, another creator. Good morning, Never Clever Morians. I'm watching while drawing demons tonight. It's a good evening. And
just make sure you close the portal afterwards.
That's right. And yes, and pray when you're done and make sure they don't follow you. And Jeffrey Hayes of Plasma Fire Graphics, glad to see you here, brother. Good evening to you.
Yep.
And Carl Wisman said, I only met Joe on one show, but he seems to have good businesses. Yeah, I've been seeing you on a couple of shows lately. I saw you on with Varian Grant a couple days ago, talking about taxes and all.
Right. Exactly. And it just came down to the guy he did the right thing. He filed the money, but he just didn't do it correctly. And that came back to bid him very bad. And those type of things are hard to correct. Especially when it deals with disability, because I actually followed up on it. It's like, there's things that he could do, but they're going to take some time and some due diligence.
Yeah. Real quick recap on this. There was a comic book creator, and I don't know who.
Made $12,000 in crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm.
He went and he filed his taxes. He did the right thing to file the what he made as income, but the thing that I believe that he did, he filed all 12,000 as income.
Right.
Federal government saw it. They revoked his disability.
Yeah, which is a sticky thing, and I think he's probably like a sole proprietorship on his. I don't know. I would guess
we don't know. We don't know specifics.
Yeah.
The only thing we could assume is that if anything, he just has straight income. He's just out of that straight income. He did not even do sole proprietorship, because those are specialized forms. And if he would have did that, they would have saw that all $12,000 of it was not income.
Yeah.
So that was the thing.
That's true. But that was a fascinating discussion. I love listening to you talk about it, because I am just like, just the side of an idiot on this stuff, which is why I'm glad I married someone that likes to do this stuff and is good at it. So,
it also comes to the fact that when you have a mother that was Internal Revenue, an older brother when he was living that worked at Internal Revenue, you kind of pick up on these type of things.
Oh, so you had a home court advantage, so to speak,
right? To speak directly to that issue, but at the same time, I can't speak on if it goes to court. I can't speak on that, but
Right.
the
And
preparation behind it, I can speak on it.
yeah. And here's where our disclaimer comes in. We are not tax professionals. For the love of God,
Exactly.
do not listen. Get somebody that knows the tax codes in your country and state and follow them to the letter. And following to
I surprise a lot of people by one thing here.
yeah.
It's like a lot of people, it's like, well, I'm a sole proprietorship or I got an LLC. It's like, no,
Right.
CGC Studios is a subchapter S corporation.
Right.
And the only reason it's that way is because the lawyer that I hired sat me down and he explained every last bit of the tax side of things to benefit what I need to do in order to make this work.
Yes.
Because he knew right up front, at this rate, you can't pay yourself a salary. You're going to end up taking loss for your salary for what you have to pay because you want to hire people. That money goes out, whether it be, through 1099s, whether it be through however, if you take them on as a payroll, that's a whole different aspect. But you yourself cannot cannot really pay yourself a salary. So you have to take that in consideration. You have to take into consideration how many people you want to have on payroll. You want to have to take into consideration how many people going to invest in that company up front, and are you offering them stock options in that? What percentage do they own? A lot of that stuff comes into play. It's like with LLCs, people don't have to think about that.
Right. That makes sense.
There's advantages because I get to write up a lot more stuff as a subchapter S as opposed to an LLC. LLC, you can write up some things, but I get to write up like my salary from this company. I get to write off,
and your comic books.
Documented. Comic books, the shows that I do, I get to write that off because that is considered a professional meeting.
Right.
It's a lot more that goes into it, but like I said, the disclaimer. Not a tax professional, but know enough just to be like, this is what's standard. This is what. Right. I'm not up here talking about, hide this or hide that. And that was the thing that I tried to tell nobody. Don't never hide anything from anybody.
Oh God, no. In fact, I have a friend who years ago used to actually claim fewer deductions than he was entitled to. And he would get audited every few years for, and they check his books, they check all his receipts, and they'd have to cut him a check on the way out, but he wanted that safety cushion that if he ever got audited, that he knew that they would, they'd figure out his math was wrong, but the math would be in his favor. So again, we are not tax professionals. We are internet lawyers though. So it's all right.
I'm not even claiming internet lawyer.
I'm an internet lawyer and an internet brain surgeon.
Oh, okay.
And I know just as much about each one.
I can see the brain surgery. I can see brain surgery and psychologist.
There you go. I'm a copyright attorney, actually. Okay. I haven't told too many people this, but I actually got a copyright claim on one of my recent videos, and I fought it successfully.
Oh, cool.
Because I studied, because I did the research. Cindy Kemp loves you because she's giving you a joke. What did they use to set off the Amazon warehouse fire? Amazon Kindle.
Exactly.
And a good evening to you, Willow Schuyler. Glad to see you. And yes, the Peppermint Princess has arrived. Cindy Kemp asks, what happened when Iron Man teamed up with the Silver Surfer? They became alloys.
That's a good one.
That's brilliant. I love that. Now, Cindy is asking a question that I was winding my way towards so people can get excited about your work. Because I've been seeing a lot of the art you're posting these days. And I'm like, I want to get on board this thing. Cindy Kemp wants to know, what's your current project?
Share the screen.
Okay. I hear a voice in my head saying, share the screen. And there it is.
Yes, this here is what I'm working on as of right now. This is the complete layout of Amazonia issue number 7. This includes a lot of the 4 remaining pencils. I still have to ink and all the other inked pages here.
Yes.
Just to give you an idea, honestly, like which page to pick. Let's do with this one.
Yeah. While you're looking, tell us what Amazonia is about, please.
Amazonia is pretty much my magnum opus as far as what I think a true Amazon is, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
If to bring it back to layman's terms for most people who are into comics but not into comics, just imagine Wonder Woman cross maybe like She-Hulk slash what's her face? Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In a way, the way that I characterize her is that she's really anti-Diana.
Hmm.
How Diana is technically, the person that saves the world.
Right.
Elisa is going to be the person that saves her people and inadvertently saves the world. She does
Nice.
not know of her origin as of yet. She does not know of of her mother's side of her heritage and why she is so tall and all this other stuff.
Uh-huh.
And she's not even at her full height as of yet.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get past the first story arc. The first story arc is what 14 issues,
Wow.
and
That's
then we get
ambitious.
into her mom's side of the family, and when she finally realized what she really is.
Uh-huh.
So it's pretty much kind of like taking the aspect of like, what if you have a woman who is really a giant among men and having to adjust and dealing with her background. It's like the way that this story starts out is that she's finally coming back home to her hometown
Mm-hmm.
after being accused of murder that
Oh.
happened on her during her senior prom.
Mm-hmm.
And she just coming back just to try to live a normal life after being trained how to use her powers and everything, serving so many years as a superhero. She's like she wanted to give up the superhero lifestyle and everything to that magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes home. She's an active member of the police force on the SWAT team side.
Yeah.
And she comes home to find out that the city is really hasn't changed, but changed enough where this pretty much, business mogul is taking over everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much the pariah of the city.
Yeah.
And the end result is that mogul has a pretty much like a blood vendetta against her dad
Uh-huh.
because her dad was the only one that has ever defied him and was successful.
Mm-hmm.
So his plan was to kind of use her DNA to build like a super army of beings
Mm-hmm.
to pretty much keep his reign supreme.
Huh. Interesting.
However, as she's investigating all this different stuff within the town, she slowly becomes aware of all of these different things that are going on within the city. So it's not just one evil villain. It's more along the lines. It's going to be several people that has to be dealt with. And issue number 7
Mm-hmm.
is the kind of like the thing that twists things on its head
Uh-huh.
because this is the issue where she was ordered to protect the villain
Oh wow.
because there was an assassination. He was complaining about all of these different assassination attempts. And at first, her and her partner was thinking that this got to be some type of setup. And then this is like one of the pages after the shot went off. It's like he was at a business conference and somebody took a pot shot out.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And she's like literally running after an individual and trying to come after them and everything. I won't show the end payoff here, but
Please, yeah, let's get people interested in the
in the
hungry for
story.
more for this book. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is pretty much what I've been working on here. And on top of that, I introduced another sub villain who's going to play a vital role in this.
Uh-huh. Very
And
cool.
it's going to be kind of like one of those things. And people who know about Amazonia, one of the complaints that they have is like I'm taking too long to tell the first story arc.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that it's mystery all the way through it, and it's set up to be more like a not like a noir, but it's more of like a true investigation type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to get revealed in time, just like some of the aspects between characters, like character interactions, is like how she feel about certain people in the town.
Mm-hmm.
Those aspects come out, from issue to issue to issue to issue,
Nice. Very
and
character driven then.
it's extremely character driven. And
Good.
even when we get to her mom's side of the family, that side is going to be extremely character driven.
Good. 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 I like it. I like it. And I love how you've thought all this out. That makes me happy. And also, like I keep telling people like Luke Stone or Brian Rodman, you have done something here that not many independent comic creators do, and that is issue 2.
Right.
on up, because a lot of people do an issue 1 and they're done. But it really makes me happy to see that you've got long range plans for this too. In all seriousness.
Yeah, long range plans, and I'm trying to find them now.
Well, while you look, I'm going to say hello to some people. Kenneth Lanier, I'm glad you like the title. We're waiting for a good one, and we're going to keep this one till one comes in here. Historical Fencing Guild, Friday nights at 8 on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Good evening to you, my friend. And Willow Schuyler, love you. Wow, betting guests, loose cannon. Oh boy, I guess I will need to behave on Brian's show if I ever get invited.
No,
sweetheart, if you keep talking about behaving, you will never get an invite from me from this show. I want you at your best.
You have to misbehave.
That's right. You are forced to. Oh my God, isn't that awesome?
Is key.
Exactly. Why do you think we're just waiting for this man to explode? But Willie, you're on my list, darling. You are on my list. And Willow, you have a knack for finding loose cannons, like the What Now guys is Carl Witzman. There's that. Cindy Cap says, why did Batman and Robin quit going fishing together? Because Robin ate all the worms. I love you, Cindy. And Russell Allen, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you, my friend. Glad you're here. And Niobe Comics, shout out to Joe. Good to see you, Larry.
Yep, there's Larry.
And
I finally met Larry the other day, so.
Yeah. Larry's fun. I like Larry. So, Brian Rodman has a question. Joe, when you work, what's on? Music, TV show, movie? What helps you get the juices going?
A little bit of everything. It depends on my mood. A lot of times I have like the television on to like something that I wanted to watch or something I wanted to listen to. Sometimes it's music. I don't do music as much because I don't want to disturb a lot of people in the house. So that's the reason why I have like, movies and TV and stuff like that on.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And Willow Schuyler says, I love the Now White guys because they have the same humor as me. And Joe, you got something there for us?
Yeah, I'm about to tell some people a key thing to do. It's like the reason why I could keep going with an ongoing series like that, because I tend to write ahead. This right here is the actual scripting for issue number 8. I have issue number 9 somewhere sitting around here, but I like just grab the first couple of folders. It's like, oh, this must be issue 9. It's like, nope, this is issue 7. So this is the actual script for issue 7. So if you could always write ahead and keep everything scripted and ahead, you don't have to worry about what I'm going to do for the next issue. It's already done. You can take your time and you can work on other concepts and everything as you go along.
Uh-huh. So you do a script, you write out your script and then you start drawing? Mm-hmm. Good man. Now, being an artist, you have an advantage over mere mortals such as myself, who I can art direct.
That's where I get the imposter syndrome from.
Really?
Because I don't consider myself a true artist. I can draw.
Yeah.
I could tell stories with my drawing, but I don't consider myself a professional artist.
That's interesting because I used to do my own comics long ago, and my inking was pretty solid, but my rendering, my anatomy and perspective, I knew I wasn't ready for prime time, so I just kind of put that aside and started strengthening my writing. Okay.
Right there. What did it say? Prime time.
Prime time. Oh yeah, definitely. But and I'm definitely not. I'm not in that league. So I switched to writing myself, and even so, I still I don't suffer from it as badly. But maybe we'll have you on for the imposter syndrome shows because we're going to revisit that subject periodically. So
and a lot of times it comes from other people talking about the artwork that makes me feel the way that I do. Yeah. Because sometimes it's like people are just so snobbish about the art that they don't look at the story. And when they look at the story, it's like, maybe he doesn't need it. Yeah. And then some people be like, if he had it, it would go so much further because you got people's attention. It's like, I'm telling a story.
Yeah.
No matter what, as long as the story gets across, I done my job.
Exactly. Exactly. And hello to Meredith Logren. Mwah. Please
Hey,
check out
Meredith.
please check out the Raging channel on YouTube. You will be glad you did. Brian Robin says, as far as taxes go, I'm stupid, so I married an accountant.
Good
Smart
man.
man. Smart man. In Historical Fencing Guild, Nick Tucker says, I love the philosophy that you two are discussing about broadcasting. What about guests do you want more folks to talk about?
What what about guests do you want?
Guests do you want more folks to talk about? That's an
I want to
interesting.
make people. I've tried to make people seem like they're the everyman, like there's something that you could come up to them and relate to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my major thing. Cause it's like, again, when people see you, Brian, they see the fest and everything. It's like, oh, it's like he must be in that the higher intellectual type stuff. It's like, no, you like boobs and ass just like everybody else.
You know me so well, Joe. I'm like an open
I
book
mean,
to you.
that's the way it is. It's like you
Yeah.
just want to find something that there's common ground where you can at least start a conversation and to say, hey, I like that guy. That guy has some common sense about this,
Yeah.
or he's knowledgeable about that, or he
Yeah.
could tell that great joke. Or in the case of Cindy Kemp got a plethora of jokes.
She's got it going on as far as the jokes
Exactly.
go. And,
She needs to write a book. She needs to write a book about that.
well, she has written books. In fact, if you go to Amazon.com and look up Cindy Kemp or go to CKOEPP.com, you can sign up for a monthly newsletter. It's free, comes out around the 25th of every month, and it's really good. It really is. Plus, she's got her own Patreon page. Please check out CKOEPP.com for all the wonderfulness that is Cindy Kemp. We love Cindy. And she's currently writing she's currently doing her very first comic book script.
Exactly. And after you read that first page, you know that she kept you there.
Yes. And
aha.
Seriously.
Champion.
Seriously. I am so proud of her. She has done a fantastic job, and I'm looking forward to future stuff. And let's see, we've got some more comments here. And Carl's, now the conversation's going on without us. And Will Scholar, if I invite my sister on my show, I could guarantee I'd get banned for false information with her opinions. Oh, that sounds like fun.
See, process of vetting.
There you go.
That's why you vet.
Exactly. You want minimal surprises. And when you do get surprises, you want them only to be pleasant. And Brian, did you get ordained as a Universalist minister? No. I have thought about it. And I never really thought about it till I'd heard about one comic writer from England named Tony Lee, who is an ordained universal minister. It's a quick story. And he's going around, he was going to marry a couple of friends at the San Diego Comic-Con about 10, 15 years ago. And everyone kept coming up to him saying, and he had like an ornate robe and everything, like you would imagine a priest of any faith to have. And everyone's like, that's great cosplay. That's fantastic cosplay. And he got tired of it. And they said, well, who are you here for? And he said, I'm here to deliver last rites to someone named David Tennant. Could you all tell me where he is?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let's talk about fake news.
All that for a joke. Wow.
Yeah, that is savage. And Cindy Kemp has a really great question about your work. You've got 2 books going, Joe, and is there a common theme in your writing?
Mostly female-driven characters.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done anything with male leads as of yet because it's harder to get out there with female leads, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, Amazonia is actually a sister book to what I don't want to release, which is Last Line of Defense.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us about that, and why aren't you releasing it?
I just don't think people are ready for it.
Okay.
To be quite honest, it gets to the point of the main character pretty much becomes an agent of the higher power, regardless of what religion that you are. It's like he's an agent of the higher power,
right?
But in becoming so, he loses his humanity. And he tries to struggle to be human again.
Oh, wow.
But again, with him leading a team, that is pretty much called in because there's nobody else to deal with this stuff, and he has no fear or consequence because the higher power is with him.
Uh-huh.
Power wise, it's like, can he be humane enough to understand what's going on around
Yeah. Wow. I'm ready.
him?
I want to see this. Let's get this book out. I'm telling you. And Historical Fencing Guild loves some behind the scenes stuff. I'm glad to hear that. And Cindy Cap says, who is always watching over Thor? His Asgardian angel.
Known as Valkyries.
That's right. Who can use a few Valkyries in your life? And hello, Keisha Akoff. Mwah, glad to see you. And okay, Christian Illusionist Jake Lindsay says, what's your favorite thing to drink while riding?
Probably soda pop. It's either tea or soda pop because how can I put this? One of these days I'm going to truly experience a drink and draw. I haven't truly experienced it because I don't really do alcoholic beverages while I actually do actual artwork.
Right.
Writing, on the other hand, that's a different story.
They say write drunk, edit sober.
Actual drawing, I have not done that. So I would say is either, regular black tea or green tea or, cherry Coke or cherry Pepsi or Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good
I
answer.
I wish I could have been a little bit better and more insightful, but normally when I draw, I don't do it alcohol.
And don't you do it either, kids. Look what it's done to me. But anyway, Carl Westman, see, Joe has long-term plan terms for the comic. That is smart. Don't blow all your ideas in one shot. And I worked for a Chicago suburbs publisher a few years ago, and I kept reading so many proposals for, like these grand cosmic escapades that were going to happen in one issue. And I'm like, well, where's the story? Don't tell me that's what's this about? Well, it's about, Valkyries fighting, robots, and, puppy dogs are like digging up gardens and stuff. I'm like, okay, fine. What's the story? This is all well and good.
Antagonist? It's like, why are they fighting? Who's the antagonist? Why are they fighting?
Yeah. It's like answer the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. So, Christian Illusionist Jake Lindsay says, what's your opinion on imposter syndrome? I'm against it. So
I put it this way: it's like you have to have self-confidence, and until you get the self-confidence with it, the self-confidence that you need to push on beyond what anybody else around you, including yourself, you'll be okay.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Well, and something Carl Witzman told me that's really helped me is that the only people who have imposter syndrome are the people who have actually done something.
I think that's very accurate.
Yeah.
The thing that I think makes it worse is because once you did that thing, there's a level of expectation from other people as well as yourself, and you get anxiety from always trying to meet or exceed that expectation after you did that one thing successfully.
If you learn how to use that to propel you forward as a creator, I think that's healthy. But if you start second guessing yourself, which is a problem I occasionally have, that is where it gets messy, I think.
And that, again, going with the artwork.
Yeah, exactly. And Cindy kept asking, did you hear about the monkeys who shared an Amazon account? They were prime mates. I love it. And Cindy Cap goes, asks, do you have a favorite aspect of comic creation? Let me mold that question a little. If Joe, if you had to do, if whatever powers that be, say you can only write, you can only pencil, you can only ink, you can only color, whatever. What would be the best part of that for you, or just the conception of the series or whatever, or editing? What brings you the most pleasure?
Okay, I'm going to answer this in 2 different ways here.
Bring it.
Okay, I'm going to answer it with what everybody else tells me and what I feel in my heart.
Okay, perfect.
Everybody else tells me, and I see this, being perfectly honest, and I get why they say it. The aspect that they want me to really be more a part of is the editing.
Okay.
Because they want me to oversee it, because I catch things that most people don't think about. I have worked with a lot of editors that actually slowed me down and say, "Hey, this does not make sense in the story. Hey, this person would not say this type of thing in that situation.
Hmm.
Moving this aspect of the story way too fast.
Mm-hmm.
This was not drawn, this way, that way, or the other way." And
Mm-hmm.
because I had those type of experience, I bring that to when I look at other people's stuff and review their stuff,
Yeah.
because that makes them that much better of a storyteller and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I don't mind the writing and creation side of it. I don't mind writing scripts all day long. I don't mind, creating up the universes and stuff and then scripting out issue to issue to issue to issue.
Right.
The only problem I have with that is switching categories. I'd rather do stuff that is like 13 plus than to write all ages,
Mm-hmm.
or anything that is X rated.
Right.
That's like, Brian, I showed you my first attempt at X rated, and
Yes.
you
Yes, you did.
you kind of liked it. You kind of liked it, and it's like, I want to do it, but I don't think it's going to be very well received at the very beginning, because
Mm-hmm.
I actually tell a story in
Yeah.
it. It's not just, oh, get in, get out, somebody gets their jollies off of it and everything. I'm
Yeah.
telling kind of like a deep story in the vein of like Twilight Zone.
I could tell you had a
So
direction for it. You had more in mind than what I was seeing there. Yeah.
yeah, because the whole thing was just like, the way that I was trying to do the series is that the very first scene dealing with the lecture
Mm-hmm.
gives you the idea and concepts behind what the rest of the book is about,
Right.
and the short parts of every story, because I'm trying to tell what, four different stories at one time,
Right.
including that lecture.
Right.
So it's like kind of like an anthology comic without being an anthology comic. You're getting like different episodes of each story
Yeah.
that I'm telling in that one legend book.
Right. Right. And you have to judge it on its own terms too. That,
Hmm.
you can't go, I can see if somebody likes editing, say, a superhero book, what you showed me would not be something that would be in their wheelhouse. And I could see somebody saying, well, you need more spandex in this one. You need more costume people, or somebody that say has a fondness for Westerns.
Hmm.
You have to, and this is true in books, in regular books too, that you want an editor who is on the same page, someone who is either simpatico with what you're trying to write, or you offer it to them in the hopes that maybe what they edit, and you, like, say they edit romance, for instance,
Hmm.
and you want to include more of an emotional element in your own work. That's the editor you want to work with, because they can teach you how to inject that into your story and make it a lot more interesting to read, a little more well-rounded with more possibilities. So yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Editing is hard. I'm the slowest editor on earth. So Brian Rodman, the great question, great answers, Joe.
Hmm.
Brian Rodman has a question. Who are your top five favorite comic creators of all time, Joe?
Of all, well, creators, well, I follow more writers than creators,
Yeah.
because I'm up here thinking it's like the characters that I like the most, I'm not certain if they actually created them.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I don't believe Jack Kirby created Big Barda. And speaking of which, Big Barda was actually modeled after an actress. I forgot her name off the top of my head.
Yeah. Now he was the first person to have her in Mr. Miracle, so I guess he is the creator.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can't remember who he based her on. Yeah.
Um, Marston for Wonder Woman.
Right.
I don't think David Anthony Kraft would be She-Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah. He wrote
He wrote the
the
Savage
original.
King for name
Yeah.
for 1980.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think, did she appear before that book?
Just in one issue, the Savage She-Hulk #1, and that was a quick issue put out for those of you who don't know. Um, at the time, they had the Incredible Hulk TV show with Bill Bixby, and
Hmm.
the producers were making noises about, well, we're paying Marvel for the rights to use this character. What if we wound up creating a female version of it? Then we would own that. and then we wouldn't, and then we could just like push the regular Hulk show off, and Universal would have their own character, Universal Studios. Well, then Marvel got wind of that, and so Stan Lee and John Buscema, with Chickstone inking, I read too many comics. They put together a one-shot issue with the origin of the She-Hulk. And basically she gets a blood transfusion from her cousin, Bruce Banner. And then when she gets angry, she turns into the She-Monster. And then in the next issue, it was taken over by David Anthony Kraft and Mike Vosberg.
Okay.
Yeah, I just recently read the archive version of it, so it's fresh in my memory.
If he created, because like it was Buscema artwork in that very first issue.
Lovely art too.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if David Anthony Kraft, because I got those books. I got books where he signed the original series.
Oh yeah.
I'm still waiting for some of those books to come from CGC too.
Oh yeah. I love his posts every time I see his stuff that he's posting, and I think he's working on his autobiography right now, and I'm really excited to get that. I'm looking forward to that, because he had, because I'm learning he had a hand in so much of 70s Marvel and DC that I'm like Nick Tockert. I like the behind the scenes stuff more anymore. I like that more than the comics, the stories themselves. But that's just me. I've turned into the fan I never thought I'd be. Cindy Cap would like to know,
I only did three. It's like,
oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I lost count there.
Marston, we missed David Anthony Kraft or Buscema, who, chicken or the egg at that point.
Sure.
We Kirby, because of Big Barda. As much as I hate to say this,
let's hear it.
I really hate to say this.
I'm listening.
I have to give the evil one his props for Doom Patrol. Because again, with Danny the Living Street and
Grant Morrison,
Grant Morrison, I have to give it up to him.
Yeah.
And then the other person, I don't think he created any characters, but I just love his run on X-Men, which would be Claremont.
Oh yeah, seriously, a fantastic.
But I don't think he created any of the characters. I don't think he took over starting X-Men 94, 95?
95, similar, 95 or 96, because Len Wein brought back, originally it's going to be Mike Friedrich. And then, before that it was going to be Roy Thomas. Then Mike Friedrich was going to do it because Roy was editor. And then Friedrich was too busy, so they gave it to Len Wein, who did like the giant size and then the first couple regular issues. And then Claremont came in as like a scripter, and then he took over the full writing with an issue or two later. But he created characters for the book. But the basic X-Men,
not the popular ones that we know. That's what I'm trying to think.
Oh no, not Wolverine, not Cyclops, not Jean Grey. Although Claremont brought in the
Nimrod, Nimrod, he created.
Psylocke.
Psylocke, yeah. He was responsible for the incarnation of the Rogue that we know as of right now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And the Shi'ar. But yeah, you're right. But then again, look at something like Saga of the Swamp Thing, which had a myriad of writers. But then Alan Moore comes in with a unique concept and makes the book uniquely his. So, and you have to, I tell people, I got in an argument when I moved here to Indiana with some guy at a supermarket who was trying to tell me he wished that Superman would be written more like the way John Byrne created it.
You don't need mullet Superman.
Oh God, no. We need Superman red and blue. That's what we need. Oh man, send your hate mail to Brian K. Morris but no, it's I think we have talked about this, that we have a woefully undereducated comic fandom. So,
but Byrne did the mullet first before it went red and blue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. And they only did the red and blue because there was a risk of losing the characters. So,
even though it was a unique concept, but we didn't need red and blue. He did not need to split into red and blue. That didn't make any sense.
It only makes sense if you know why. And I
Mhm.
found out that this was when the Jerry Siegel was launching his last attempt to take Superman back.
Mhm.
Without getting into, there is a clause in the copyright laws that about 5 years before a copyright is to expire, let's say you're doing it work for hire, which is what Jerry Siegel did most of his work. And when the copyright is 5 years out, you can announce your intention. I want the copyright back, and then you get like a X number of years to basically exploit the IP, the intellectual property. He was trying to do this, and DC thought, well, just in case we lose, we need a Superman, because they still had the trademarks.
Mm-hmm.
Siegel could never get the trademarks because that's DC's, unless
Mm-hmm.
DC ceded them to him. But anyway, that's why they came up with Superman Red and Superman Blue, which was in case Jerry Siegel got the guy in the tights and the cape,
Mm-hmm.
DC Comics still had a Superman to sell.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, you know that, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. So,
and it was short-lived, so everything is hunky-dory now.
Exactly. It all, as the thing, Stan Lee kept talking about back in his day, the illusion of change. Like, Peter Parker works for the Daily Bugle. Now, special issue, Peter Parker leaves the Daily Bugle. Then he's gone for 2 years. Then he comes back. Special issue, Peter Parker returns to the Daily Bugle. And it's this whole cycle because comics, people like Joe and me are the exception to the rule, that a lot of people read comics for X number of years and then they say, okay, I've discovered sex, I'm leaving. Or this is costing me too much, some reason, but they leave the hobby behind, and then we have new people come in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how it's supposed to work. So, but that's the kind of discussion we like to have. And Cindy Cap asked, do you do your work high tech or low tech? Now I saw you were was that Photoshop you were using?
That was Clip Studio Paint.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, for example, I do my inking high tech digitally off a tablet.
Okay,
I do my penciling very, very low tech. See, y'all getting to see everything.
I know. Only on this show.
Yeah, I do my penciling low tech. So I actually use Bristol boards and actually draw everything out on comic book pages.
That's lovely.
So I scan these pages in and then digitally ink the stuff. So I actually do both.
Okay. Oh, I know a number of artists that do that. Now, do you do the digital? There are two reasons I hear people doing digital. One is they get faster at it.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is it's easier to remove errors. Which I see you smiling at that last one.
No, I kind of like frowning.
Okay, all right.
Reason I kind of like frowning is like, yeah, it's easier to remove errors, but sometimes the errors is what makes the composition.
Oh yeah.
And that to me is kind of like, you know what, everybody wants to move more to high tech, and the way that I look at it and the way that I was taught. And the way that it's being reinforced to me now.
Right.
High tech is nothing more than a tool.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do the stuff this way,
yeah,
having high tech really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
If you can't do this, having the high tech stuff won't make you that much better or that much worse.
Yeah.
You have to grow in the techniques that you need.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why I probably never give up doing Bristol boards and actually penciling the stuff out on paper, unless all of a sudden there's like a Bristol board shortage or something like that. Then I'm forced to do it. But even then, it's like, even though I don't like it, I can do it. But
yeah,
if I have my choice, I do it like this. And kind of like I was telling Randy on his show, it's like I don't feel comfortable inking on these boards as of yet.
Sure.
Or else I probably would still be doing everything low tech. And the only thing that would be high tech is the coloring.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. And there's just something beautiful about penciled pages. That's one of the reasons I like the Jack Kirby Collector
Hmm.
magazine, is that Jack was very scrupulous about having his pencils, even back in the 40s, having them photostated
Hmm.
so that you could look at them later and you could see what a Mike Royer brings to it, or a Joe Sinnott, or a Vince Coletta, for instance. How the pencils differ from what comes directly out of the artist's brain into his hand, versus somebody who gets it later. And you have a Joe Sinnott who fixed certain pages because he was a superb draftsman, or you have somebody like Mike Royer who's got his own style, but he's scrupulously devoted to making sure Kirby's line work comes out, or Vince Coletta, who's got 3 days to do it, so he's going to get it done, and it's going to be a lot of cross hatching and erasing. So, but we like
And
Vince
that's
Coletta.
that's the key thing about inking. Everybody thinks inking is tracing. It's not.
Oh no!
It's a whole nother art.
Yeah.
If you bring up the screen again,
I will be glad to, sir.
I could do a comparison here.
All right.
Uh, let's take this one here.
Sure.
And hopefully, we could do this like a side by side here. I'm going to
Let
show
me
you.
see what I can do here. Okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to let you keep talking. The only way I can think to do this is, hold on a second here. I'm going to take me out of the screen. Hold on here.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's the wrong button, bro.
No, it should be the one, that one, and then if you could do the shared screen one, it should be like one of the ones on the far left, the far right, I should say, on your side. Yeah, there we go. Now, you see how the ink page is a little bit more detailed. I actually did like the lines to show like wrinkles and everything. However, on the actual page itself, I didn't go as detailed. I just did like the basic contouring shape here. And things are getting more defined when you go into the inking process, like the lines in his hair to deter, to show like the different lines in his hair, to show like the strands and how the strands flow and stuff to that magnitude. I don't do that typically in pencils. Most other artists would do that. I don't, because I know that if I'm inking it myself, I would do that in the inking stage. And I get to, like I said, I get to draw and correct those things that I didn't see while I was doing the pencils, and vice versa. So that's why inking is so much important, that it's not just direct tracing. You actually literally adding and embellishing on what is actually there on the page here. So hopefully that kind of gives you like a idea of why inking is so important in comic books as a whole here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you have some, like the older pencilers like Steve Ditko, who basically did just barely stick figures
Mm-hmm.
because they knew what the finished product would look like. So they said, okay, the way everyone did everything on the Bristol board back then, you know, you know, Ditko would pencil the stuff so he knew what was going on. Then he'd send it into the office, and Stan Lee would then write the dialogue and get the lettering done, because they would letter on top of the Bristol board then. This is for everyone else on the audience. And then it would go back to Ditko, so he would apply the ink work on it. And it was just a way of him saving time to do it, as opposed to someone like Jack Kirby, who knew that someone else was he's going to hand it off, the ink work, to somebody else. So he put in all the details. And that's what I think is glorious about his work, is that you look at something like the cover of Fantastic Four #1, and you look at the buildings, you see the brickwork. You see the brickwork in there and all the glint on the windows, and it's not the same glint in every window. It's all there.
But that's mostly coming from the inker, because when the penciler does it, he might show where certain bricks and stuff are at, but then the inker comes back and with rulers and stuff like that, embellish it to make it look like it's supposed to.
Yes, exactly.
Another example here, if I could find it real quick, we can use this one here. This is why I'm like hard on colorists here.
Okay.
Like even for a page like this here,
Yeah.
having the colorist to actually do the texture mapping for like the actual brick and everything and the grout and
Yeah.
everything, that
Yeah.
also plays a factor in doing everything. So having those people who can and will pay attention to those finer details make or break the book.
Sure. Sure. Agreed. Agreed. And we're a bit behind here, and we've got a whole lot of questions, so we're going to hit the
Yeah,
questions.
I love questions.
Oh yeah, bring them. Historical Fencing Guild, smaller, understandable plots have more association and interest to me than big cosmic crossover events. That's a very, very good point. And
Mhm.
Cindy Cap wants to know: is your favorite genre to read the same as the one you write?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, I do read a lot of Wonder Woman. I do read a lot of female-led books. But my original passion, how I got into this,
Uh-huh.
wasn't through superheroes. It was actually through reading GI Joe first, and then from GI Joe, went over to X-Men and was a big X-Men fan. And then as I was growing up, my grandmother eventually made me a Wonder Woman fan. And at that point, when she introduced me to Marston Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
it was all she wrote.
There you
I was a
go.
fan. I was a fan for life. That stuff was weird.
Yeah.
It was kooky, but it made sense.
It had an internal logic to it. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I like that. And Cindy Cap says, I bought a sail for my boat on Amazon the other day. Today it dawned on me that it's not the right size, so I called to cancel. They said it's too late. That sail has shipped.
Okay.
And we have Comics Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
My
Please
people.
sign up for that channel. My people.
Yep.
My person is here. Good to see you, Pops. Hope you're having a great evening. And Cindy Cap is waving. And let's see here. And we just had a comment up. And yeah, we I missed the joke. Sorry about that, Jake. So anyway, and Molly Daniels, good to see you. Greetings. Watching on the sly at work, so we gotta keep it down.
Wow. Shh.
Yeah, don't tell everybody. But Cindy Cap wants to know, who's your favorite superhero?
All right. I thought I already answered that. It's Wonder Woman at this.
There we go. There we go. And well, I know you're real fond of She-Hulk.
But that's a different reason.
That's
a
true.
different reason.
That's true.
The last incarnation, when she turned gray, that series blew my mind and made me more of a fan because that was the first time that they ever dealt with her dealing with PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see. I think it's too relatively new of a phenomenon that you don't see a lot of characters dealing with that, unfortunately. And I think it is ripe for the plucking, so to speak. And the Historical Fencing Guild, did J. Scott Campbell do the writing on his projects? Not that I'm aware. Not like Gen 13 or anything. That was Brandon Choi. I didn't follow him on anything else though.
I try to think. It's like all the Spider-Man stuff he didn't do. It's like after Gen 13, he did more cover work than actual interiors.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
It's
Well,
been a
some
while
art.
since he did interiors because it's like the image work that he did some interior work, but more interior work for Marvel, but that was few and far between.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like Adam Hughes, where he has trouble meeting, or he's not comfortable with deadlines, because he does put a lot of detail in his work. So, and I know that,
and not a lot of people could color his stuff because he does things in such a way where you have to use lighter palettes.
It's true. That is true. And let's see here. Cindy Cap wants to know two things: your favorite high-tech tool and your favorite low-tech tool. When you create a comic book, what's your favorite high-tech and your favorite low-tech?
For right now, it's the Clip Studio Paint. That's my favorite high-tech tool. That program allows me to lay out everything where I could keep every last one of those pages together, and I get to see how they mesh, as I go along inking. And as far as my low-tech tool, that's simple.
Here it comes.
Actually, it's a combination between two. And I do have to explain this.
Okay.
This thing right here. Do you know what this is?
I do. Yes, I do. It is an art gum eraser.
Not really an art gum, but this is a knead eraser.
Okay, yeah, they used to call it art gum back in my day, or at least there was a
Uh,
brand called art gum. But yeah, it's a
yeah,
needle. It is an
yeah. You're talking
eraser
about
you
this eraser.
need.
You're talking about
Yeah,
that eraser.
right. Yeah, there we go.
That's art gum. That's art gum. This is knead. This is
Okay, yeah,
more like the sticky kind of like putty like eraser where you could pull off a part of it, ball it up, stretch it out, everything, and you use it to get to get to the lines a particular way.
right, right. And it was more thorough and didn't damage your paper as much as, say, a regular eraser.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my friend, my confidant, my friend, you know what this is?
Oh, I should know. I should know, but what is
That
it?
is what is called a dry eraser.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
this has actual powder up in it,
oh, that's
and you
right.
kind of
Okay,
squeeze it
I
and you
missed the
rub it over the
business end.
page, and this is the thing that will get your excess lines off of things that you have inked.
Right. I'd never see. I didn't see the business end of that. I'd forgotten about those. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's low tech.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it works.
But
That is.
you got low tech things that I have never played with as of yet, like the lettering tools.
Oh, the Ames lettering guide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That was what I first learned. I think I may have told you the story, but I sent a script into Charlton Comics back in the day, and I wound up doing everything wrong you possibly could. But Nick Cuddy, who was an associate editor there, sent me. They had prepared like I think it's like a 32-page pamphlet, and you can find it online. I think
Mm-hmm.
somebody has reprinted it, but it's very basic on how to write a basic comic script, how to pencil a page, what materials you use. And when I got that, I before that I was just like handwriting in my amateurish comics that I was trying to produce in high school and stuff. And then I found the Ames lettering guide, and all of a sudden I'm a John Costanza or an Art Simek or Sam Rosen,
Mm-hmm.
that everything suddenly is lining up and it's nice. And it has a little edge you could do italicized lettering with, and the holes where you put the guides in, and you literally, a lot of people don't realize this. Back in the day, you drew the letters. You didn't do like computer layovers now.
Not by any means, but I
No,
had it. I kind of had an advantage not having that because I did a lot of calligraphy. That was one of the things that they reinforced while I
sure,
was in like grammar school and high school.
sure,
I learned calligraphy, and because of how you have to do the lines, I have to make certain. The only thing I didn't have is like I have to keep my dimensions correct across
right,
all the lettering.
sure.
That's was the only one thing that I couldn't do, and that's why I say I kind of wish I had that Ames tool because with that plus what I knew about calligraphy, I could go to town.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, my school, heck, we barely learned the alphabet, so it's
Mhm.
like anything like drawing the letters competently was beyond what we were going to get. And Eric Hawkins loves those portfolio books. Those were handsome. They were handsome. And Cindy Cap says, "Go Joe." All
Mhm.
right. And Eric Hawkins says, I add depth and shading to give the image more definition. Only then does the drawing truly take shape. Banky Edwards on inking from Chasing Amy. A lot of wisdom in there. Kevin Smith
Mhm.
was a comic book fan. So
Yep.
and squishy erasers are cool. Squishy erasers is the technical name for them, I guess. And Eric Hawkins says, Joe, I think you forgot one of the low tech tools. I am sure you got a drafting brush around there with all those other common drafting tools, don't you?
Somewhere around here, and I don't know if it's in that art box that I have there, but yeah, I have something like that somewhere around. It's somewhere around in this room.
Yeah. And Cindy Kemp asks, don't you have a KS Airborne just now?
No,
Kickstarter
mm-mm,
Airborne just now?
mm-mm,
Nope, not yet. Not yet.
not yet.
When you do, we'll have to talk about getting your face on here or something. So
Mm-hmm.
because you got things to say, and Eric Hawkins still has his drafting brush from the '80s. Haha.
Yeah,
So,
those things don't go out of fashion. It's like those are quick little brushes that cleans up the whole desk and page.
yeah. Oh, seriously, yeah. Somewhere around here, I've still got my old art tools from back in the day. And one buddy of mine, Andy Shaggy Cordy, he's got like pens, like
Mhm.
art pens that he's had going for 10 or longer years. That he knows how to, basically revive the ink once it dries and those things.
Oh wow.
It's yeah. And the thing is, this guy can do. It's across the room. I'd have to look for it, but I have an original piece by Andy, and
Mhm.
who's doing some work for Michael Watson,
Right.
and Andy showed me the artwork, and it's a solid gray tone, the kind that you use a computer now. Photoshop can do that sort of thing,
Mhm.
and it is like one solid thing. You don't see any overlap or anything. It is gorgeous. It is fantastic. And Cindy Kep says, I asked my buddy how's the Amazon warehouse job is going. He said it was fulfilling. That's great. And Cindy Cap says, what do you think of the Wonder Woman movies that have come out recently? That's an excellent question. What's your view on those?
Love the first one, 84, and I'm going to stick to my opinion with Wonder Woman 84. It was a okay movie, but it would not appeal to most movie fans.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's valid.
And
That's
I just
valid.
want to avoid all the controversy and everything to that matter because I get into so many different conversations about that. I understand a lot of people's gripes, and some of the gripes are well warranted.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a night and day difference between those two movies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Cindy Cap says, what's the difference between Superman and a fly? Superman can fly, but a fly can't Superman.
That's true.
Very logical. Thank you, Cindy Cap. And we are currently caught up with your questions. Please bring more. But until then, I have this, Joe. See, you thought I'd never get to it, man.
The business end of things. So
Business
y'all want
end.
to know? You really want to know how I feel about the business? We about to talk some business.
That's right. Look out for this. Brace yourselves. Get your seatbelts in place now. One thing now, some of this comes from discussions we've had on Comic Book Spectrum Thursdays at 7 p.m. on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network.
See, I gave you a plug opportunity.
I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. And I've told you, and I'm going to say it in public now, that so you have evidence that I have lost my mind. But no, what we are. I say we, it's me.
Mm-mm.
I have almost got the technical end of that kind of show down. Don't be surprised, Joe, if you get a tap on the shoulder, okay? To come in and share your opinions with us, okay?
Okay.
All right, so letting you know.
All right.
All right, so the first question, this came out of a really good discussion we had a couple weeks ago, and I know Joe is very passionate about this, is basically it boils down to how are comics trying to grow the market? How do you see comics? Like when Eric and Clyde and Brian and I talked, we were seeing mostly what could be done to bring more people into the comics market as readers. But as a creator, how do you see the where the market needs to go in order to grow itself? Because to give a little perspective here, the heyday of comic sales were in the 90s, and that was a complete mess in a lot of ways. But now we are down to probably under a quarter the number of comic shops that we had then.
I don't think the heyday was the 90s. I think it was way before that.
Well, that's true, but the last real boom period we had was the 90s.
Because of, as I call it, the image BS that was coming out.
Yeah, the speculate, or a friend of mine coined a term, speculeach.
Mm-hmm.
They were just basically strip mining the collector market, just the way that ball cards, baseball cards have been done like about 6 years before, or Beanie Babies, or you see it a lot of collectibles, Cabbage Patch Kids in the 80s, that they come in. It's kind of complicated, but it boils down to they push the market, and then once they make their profit, they leave, but then there is now an overabundance of material in the marketplace and less people wanting to buy it as an investment. It's basically, supply and demand. But Joe, how do you feel, what do you see comics doing or should be doing in order to grow the market?
Now, this is the thing as a creator, because you bring it up as a creator. I've been an advocate for this for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get back to the way that we used to be fans. We have to get back to, you like Wonder Woman? I like Wonder Woman. You're cool with me.
Yeah.
I don't care if you like a specific type of thing that's happening in Wonder Woman. I don't care if you in the feminist aspect of it. Just for the simple fact that you like Wonder Woman, you just should be cool with it, and you need to be able to exchange ideas and be able to talk about it without feeling that oh, because you don't like X, Y, and Z, you're an enemy. It's like, no, we like the same thing, and that's the problem with I see with fandom now. Fandom has gotten to, like, the thing is, like, we draw this line here, you either with us or against us, instead of being all inclusive.
Right.
And the first thing that us as creators have to deal with is we have to get and talk to our fan base and say, hey, if you meet another fan, bring them in, be inclusive. Even if you don't like a certain aspect of why they like it, be inclusive. Don't make them feel alienated because they like one particular thing. Bottom line is, y'all going to all get together and root to see that next issue or that next movie or that next video game or that, for whatever reason, y'all waiting for that next thing in that IP. Just be inclusive about it. Don't make people feel like, oh, they only getting it for this, or their fandom is not as great as yours.
Right.
Celebrate the fact that they like it. I mean, back when I was young, it's like, you have to think about it. Not everybody liked comic books.
Right.
So when you met another person, you were happy. And then you could bounce things off of it. And then if you're truly good comic book friends, it's like every so often, it's like, here, I want you to read this. Here, I want you to read that. And you got them engaged in something else that they normally wouldn't pick up or read.
Yeah.
That's the inclusiveness that we need to get back to. So as a creator, you as the leader for your particular IP has to tell your fan base to actually start doing this. And once you start seeing that happens, then you could actually see people slowly coming back to the fold here. The second thing is you have to educate them as far as why the business is the way that it is. I see so many. This is going to go to probably another question that's on the list here, but I see so many creators talking about books are being priced too expensive. Fans don't want to pay $10 for a book. It's like picking on Kickstarter. Oh, why are I paying $20 for one physically priced book? And I was like, whoa, hold on, flag on the play there. And the reason I'm throwing a penalty flag there, because it's not really $20 that they're paying for one book. Look at that tier truly. If you're charging $5 for the PDF, you're charging, X amount of dollars for whatever poster or card or tchotchke that you're doing.
Right.
By the time you add up everything and get to the physical book, you're really just only charging maybe like $2 or $3 for it.
Yeah.
Because your tier includes everything else that came before it. So when you break it down to an individual like that, they're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. But if they still don't feel that way, then this is how you get around it. You charge less for that PDF. You charge less for anything else that you add on. And then that way you could say, I'm charging cover price for this book. And that cover price would be what, $5, $4, $3, whatever.
Which is comparable to what the mainstream
Marvel
books
are.
Yeah,
but they look at that initial $20. It's like, it's not really $20 for one book unless you pretty much saying it's the book by itself. And 9 times out of 10, you never get the book by itself.
Right.
on a
That's true.
Kickstarter. Never.
Right.
You always going to get the digital. And this is the thing. It's like I'm up here. It's like you're double charging people for the same book if you give the digital and the physical book at the same time. You're really giving them two copies of the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to educate the people that way. You have to tell them, be upfront, be transparent in that aspect. They will understand that.
Right.
And but yet the first thing is like, well, people don't want to buy, pay $20 for my book. It's like they're not really paying $25 for one copy of the book.
Right.
You're giving them so much more.
Yeah.
And if they like your stuff, they would pay for it.
Mm-hmm. It's whatever the market will bear.
Exactly. I mean, it's no different. It's like if they're paying, $3, $4, $5, $6 for a Marvel and DC book, they'll pay the exact same thing for yours. You're not reinventing the wheel at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The problem becomes where you feel your product is worth. And if you're going, and again, people not playing the long game, they're playing that short game of,
Right.
I need to make my cost back right away.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, don't kickstart your project until the book is done. You put skin in the game up front. Don't let anybody else know how much it costs to get that artist or how much to get that colors and all this other stuff. You take that upon yourself.
Yeah.
And then you could come back and say, hey guys, I just need help with printing.
Yeah.
They could see the value of that. They could see that you put 100% effort on your back to make this work.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying if you don't have the money up front, don't go out there crowdfund. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
I come from the other aspect of it because I look at people who says like, but what about the people who don't have the money up front? It's like when there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
I do this off of having a 9 to 5, taking money from my 9 to 5, applying it. I still do the majority of the artwork. I still have a hired editor. I have several colorists. If I need to, I hire cover artists. I do what I need to do to get the book made.
Right.
And then when it comes time for that Kickstarter, I tell them, book is 100% done off of my back right now.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing I'm asking for is printing costs and giving you the opportunity to get the book first before we go over to this convention, Comixology, and all these other venues.
Right.
That's being honest and being transparent.
Yeah. Well, and also, this is kind of like an artisan kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think people need to understand the economics of it. DC will print, say, 75,000 to 100,000 copies of, let's say, Batman, knowing they're going to sell maybe half to a third of those. But the fact is they have deeper pockets, because they've got like a massive corporation behind them.
No, they got people taking ads.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
got people
Well,
taking ads. It's like they got ad revenue. So think about it.
yeah, but
They
not much
bring-
ads. Have you seen it? If you look lately,
now they learn their lesson.
yeah, they're mostly house ads. They're mostly house ads. But the idea is that they can, the more copies you print, the unit price goes down. So that's why they could do a 32 page package for, let's call it $3.99, because that's been the prevailing price for the last 10 years. Whereas if you or I were to print a comic, that would be closer to our printing cost. Okay, so we have to raise the suggested retail price so that we have some room to maneuver, so we can wholesale some issues, and also we can that is our profit in there as well, so that we can finance maybe the next thing and prepay the editors and the other creative people we need to help us bring our vision to fruition. And it's the same thing that like, yes, you could go to your supermarket and get a loaf of bread for $2, but you go to a bakery and get the same thing, but you might be paying $6 or $7 for that same thing. You go to a big chain of coffee houses and you pay $5 or $6 for a cup of coffee with, whatever you want. Whereas I can go to the store and make that same cup at home for probably a third of that,
Mhm.
if that. So it's all economics, and it's all, to me at least. And like you said, being transparent in your Kickstarter about your, your costs and everything, where the money's going, is essential to a successful crowdfunding campaign. But we, as independent creators, don't have the deep pockets or the wherewithal to get 100,000 copies of Amazonia printed, knowing that you could pulp half of them and still make your profit. That we have to be a lot tighter. And as such, because there are fewer copies out, it is a rarer commodity, if you will.
People just don't understand the overhead of that.
Yeah,
Because think about 100,000 copies of Amazonia. Where are you going to warehouse it? Where are you going to keep them?
exactly.
You don't have that luxury now with Marvel and DC. Like I said, 100,000 copies. That's not that big of a deal because they get it as printed at such a small uh, issue for volume. It's like the per volume cost goes way down. Now let's add the ad revenue from local. Well, I would say local, but national known products. Like
Right. Right.
let's say like Wrigley's gum. Wrigley's
Sure.
gum got like a advertisement in Batman.
Yeah.
They're charging them close to 25 grand because they know that they got the circulation that dictates that.
Yeah.
So guess what? That 25 grand pretty much pays for that printing.
Yeah.
And the
Exactly.
rest, everything that they sell is pretty much 100% profit.
Yeah.
So they could lose 50,000 issues and still make money off of it. Us
Exactly.
as an independent, we can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is not taking into consideration of some of the freebies and stuff that we do give away because of charities and stuff like that. We give the stuff at a loss.
Mm-hmm.
We take that on the chin, but yet at the same time, we have people coming back to us. It's like, why are you charging, $7 for a 24-page book? I was like, because that's alleviate the cost. It's like I still got to pay everybody else and everybody else in that chain. It's
Right.
truly being transparent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is the cost of the book, like, if you ask for a higher suggested retail price than, say, a Marvel or DC Dark Horse Image book, are you getting that amount of entertainment out of the package? Because I could pay $5 for a DC comic and not enjoy it one damn bit, whereas I might get a $7 or $8 comic from an independent producer and just love the hell out of it.
Exactly.
It's whatever you are willing to spend for the entertainment you get from what you're buying.
Here's a prime example. I'm covering up the price of this here.
Okay.
This is prime time Saturday night number 0.
Right.
Now, how many pages do you think is in this book?
Well, a standard regular comic book that you buy off the stands is usually I say 32 interior pages plus a cover. So, not having seen that book in person, Joe, how many pages are there?
52.
Beautiful. That makes me happy.
So, on the average, let's look at Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
For a book like this,
yes,
you normally pay anywhere close to like $8 to $10.
Yeah.
You want to know what my price point is for this book?
Let's hear it. If you're willing to tell.
$5.
Nice. Yeah.
To be quite transparent with you, do you want to know how much money I make on a issue of this?
Sure.
Barely 75 cents.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yet, you want to complain that $5 is too much, but I'm giving you content.
Yeah, 52 pages for $5 is, you're not going to get that from the big companies either. So yeah,
Amazonia. I'm just picking up, with the first book, Amazonia number 5.
Sure.
This is normally anywhere between 22 to 28 pages.
Okay.
Again, we already talked about, $3.99, $4, $5.
Sure.
Marvel
Yeah.
and DC, $3.50.
$3.50. Yeah.
Again, I'm barely making, if that, 75 cents, and that's not even taking into consideration if I have to send this and ship this to somebody. I
Right.
lose money.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the transparency and the price point that you have to deal with.
Right.
It's not that we're trying to price gouge people and everything like that. I understand how much money you should be charging above price to make it appealing.
Right.
Like a issue like this cost me somewhere between 250 and 275 at issue,
Yeah.
depending on how many interior pages here.
Right.
This book right here is almost $4.
Yeah.
So it's no way in the world. It's no way in the world that, in one show, in one sitting, that I'm going to be able to make up the cost of what I take to print,
Sure.
50, 100, 200, 500, or 1,000. There's no way possible in one sitting to do that.
Right.
So you have to play the long game and get enough to satisfy orders for other stores, have enough on hand to deal with shows and stuff, and have enough on hand for inventory for those who do order through like your website and stuff to that magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
You have to and be able, it's like in my case, since I do POD or print on demand,
Right.
be able to have that access to get more if you run out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And another thing is like DC and Marvel and some of these other larger companies, again, they're printing buku copies. And they're probably their percentage of profit may be close to where you're at least as far as when they sell it on a wholesale basis to somebody like Diamond or Polar or whoever, or now Penguin Random House. But but the thing is, they are also, because one, they've got brand recognition, more people will know a John Constantine than they will know an Amazonia. So they are going to be selling, like, say, 5,000, 10,000 copies, 25,000 copies. And yeah, they may be making only like say you're only making $1 profit on your comic book. They may only make $1 profit on something that they sell that's similar, but they're also moving more units of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think a lot of people don't understand about, the comic book economics about this, that if you're coming into this to get wealthy, yeah, pardon Joe and myself as we break out into hysterical laughter, right?
You don't make money off the comics. You make money off the IP. You make money once you have a successful comic book or a successful IP. You make money off the merchandising. You make money off of stuff like try to make money and stuff off of this, like the T-shirt. Like this is like a T-shirt for AWF.
Beautiful.
Dealing with this is a Greg Horn cover that was for issue number 3 of AWF.
Right.
You make money off of that. Showing the showing the mug if you have if you have your Rising Tide mug handy. You make money off of that.
It makes your coffee taste better.
Yes. now if he had the straight line on it, he would be making money off of the fez.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
He wouldn't have a line of fezzes.
Let's just say I'm looking into it. I'm looking into it.
but that's the type of thing that you have to look at the longer game about it. This is not just like a get rich. This is a long haul. It's a marathon.
Yeah, exactly.
Only a handful of people will come in with a comic book idea and make money off of just a comic book. Barely a handful. Barely a handful of people. Yeah. I mean, people always talk about Walking Dead, but people don't realize it took Kirkman almost over a decade to make Walking Dead the way that it was.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't come out hitting on gangbusters. It took him over 10 years of producing that book over and over and over and over and over, and all those issues, and then it took off. He got the deal that he wanted, and then from there it was smooth sailing.
Yeah. And also, as I've been telling people for months now, when you produce a comic book, when you produce a book, that can be your calling card. That's your resume. And I know a number of independent creators that have been and are producing work, not with the goal that they are going to have a marketable IP of their own, but they're going to show that they can do the work on a regular basis with a certain level of quality. And then they're going to go up to somebody at Marvel. They're going to go up to somebody at DC. And those guys, I'll tell you right now from experience, they're not going to look at a script. And they're not always going to look at artwork, no matter how pretty your portfolio is. But if you go up and you show them a comic book that you have done, Robert Kirkman has done work for Marvel, did work for Marvel about 10 years ago or so, very briefly. Mm-hmm. And then his stuff started taking off. And then he realized, well, I own that stuff. Why am I punching the clock for someone else? But that was his ticket in, those early issues of Invincible, those early issues of The Walking Dead. That's, two different types of genres, two different intellectual properties, where he's saying, look at the versatility I bring. I can sell comic books for you, and I can produce them on a timely basis, so that with the production machine, with all the various pieces of it, the artist, the inker, the colorist, the editor, etc., that my share of it, I'm holding up my end. So it's your resume as well. So, and like I say, my novel writing has gotten me work with other publishers.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are many ways to parlay what you're doing, like Joe's doing right now, not just merchandising, which is a cool thing, and a lot of us do it, but also you look at somebody like Robert Kirkman or a Dirk Manning. Dirk Manning just passed, what was it, the $100,000 mark on his Kickstarter for the Tony Schiavone story, which he's doing for another publisher, not just himself. And that is,
I backed it, by the way. It's pro wrestling. It's pro wrestling. I had to. I know who Tony Schiavone is.
Yes. Oh my God, the old Atlanta shows. Yeah.
If there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes stuff, I'm all about that. It's a blessing that's in comic book form, but if it's behind the scenes, like the stories that you don't get about what happened in wrestling,
I
want to be about it.
Yeah, but there's an example of somebody like Kirkman who or like like Manning, who has built their social platform, has built their fan base to the point where they can ask for that kind of money. And I know that Dirk Manning wasn't starting out looking for 100,000, but it just got up there because they had done it right, because they both play the long game, like you're doing, like I'm trying to do. So, and we got some more comments. You want to take some more comments here, Joe?
Questions that's what I'm here for. I'm here for questions.
All right.
This is the type of stuff that I don't get on my show, because when I do my solo shows like this, nobody's there. Nobody's there. They want me to interview somebody. They don't want me to answer questions. So that's why I'm here.
Well, consider this my public service. Glad to do it. And Cindy Cap would like to know, who is the most ... what is the most interesting thing that has happened on one of your shows? If you want to tell.
I had a group of people come on to try to cancel my guests.
I remember that. Yes, about a month ago.
It was so weird, because I had, and that's why I say this has come back to the whole vetting thing. The guy was good for what he was doing.
Yeah.
He ran shows before, and this, that, and the other, but it was just so many problems that people ran into with the show that I wasn't aware of.
By show, we mean a convention, a live convention, right, as opposed to a broadcast like this. So.
Right, convention. That I did not realize it was that much of a problem. I was made aware that there were some people that were doing this, but I didn't realize it got to that magnitude. So instead of doing the normal interview, I switched gears and became the complaint department.
Yes, you handled it very well.
And it shocked people
that
I went to complaint department and was willing to ask the guest those hard questions that most people would not do. And I'm up here, it's like, look, I've been to this guy's shows before. I know what's going on, but I didn't know that one of his guests that they didn't like, or he had some other stuff, and then people was having problems getting tickets, and it was just so many different problems that I took the time to listen. And because I took the time to listen to the people, they appreciated it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very, at least by the end of the show, I gotta say, it was a very civil exchange.
Mhm.
And both sides, especially the people that came in to wreak havoc, if you will, basically to disrupt your show, just to make their point about your guest, they left respecting you.
Mhm.
I'll call it that way. They respected you by the end of it, and you gave an ample opportunity for your guest to defend himself. So
And I held them. It's like, defend this. They
yeah,
gave me, they gave me this. I was like, here's the link to what they gave to me.
yeah,
Look at this.
yeah,
They have a valid point.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I did it without embarrassing him because I didn't want to play anything that incriminated him,
Right.
but I also didn't want to give those people the opportunity to just to lampoon him for stuff that may not be within his power to take care of.
Or maybe not even true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Because that could have turned into a real hatchet job on the guy. And you gave him ample opportunity to defend himself while, his opponents were trying to send you stuff. And it's not like you can do a deep dive into that stuff while you are on the air. But
Mm-hmm.
but you handled it wonderfully. And a lot of us watching were probably thinking, "What? How would we handle something like that?" I've been very
I
blessed
have
not
seen
to
people
have it.
crack. I have seen people crack it. I had other podcasters pull me over to the side after it was over. It's like, you did the one thing that most other people didn't do. You held them accountable. It's like, what,
Yeah,
I'm not supposed to?
yeah. No, I agree. I agree because that's how they could have defended themselves.
Hmm.
Your job as the host was not really to defend him.
And that's what they thought I was going to do. And I
Yeah,
was like, no, bring me evidence.
yeah,
We would try that evidence right here, right now. And some people brought the evidence, and I was like, what about this? They got a point here.
yeah.
Here's a sound bite. Go here and take a look here.
Hmm.
Listen to that sound bite.
Yeah,
They did say yada 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 yada.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe you need to talk to that company.
yeah,
Maybe you need to do this.
yeah,
I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say, hey, they have a point. And then vice versa. It's like, that's not acceptable. I could tell them, it's like, hey, that's kind of wrong to make that assumption.
hmm, yeah,
But like I said, both sides left respecting me for just
yeah,
listening to hear the full thing out.
yeah. And I think like I said, I think you handled it magnificently. I was very proud of you. And I'm sitting there in the audience going, "Oh God, I wish I could help," but it's like, I'm not the guy at the hand on the control.
And that was the thing, because it's like they immediately thought, it's like, oh, we're going to get banned. It's like, why am I going to ban you? I don't have any invested interest in the show.
Right.
I came out in the middle of the show and said that. I was like, in the back of my mind, it's like, that probably was the best thing that I could have said at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have any invested interest one way or the other. I could care less.
Yeah, and as long as everybody is halfway civil about it,
Mhm.
I have banned people from my shows if because I get occasional trolls
Mhm.
or somebody that is just so freaking unpleasant that yeah, you're out of here. But everybody, to their credit, kept it as civil as possible.
And I
So
heard out. I heard them out. It's like, no, we
yeah,
want to hear him. It's like, okay, here, explain it.
yeah, yeah. And then you guys fight it out over there. I've got a show. It's the end of the show. Get
It's
me
the
out of
end of the
here.
show. It's like, I did what I could. The end.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I thanked him. I thanked him. It's like, I appreciated the interaction.
Oh
That's
yeah.
pretty much what I got. It's like, I got the interaction that I wanted, but
Mhm.
it came through a controversy. And that's,
Yeah.
I don't like drama. I don't like controversy in that aspect. I mean,
Oh yeah.
controversial topics, talking about controversial topics is one thing, but having drama and controversy, that's a whole different thing.
I agree. I agree. There's way too much of that right now on social
Mhm.
media, and we don't need to be fanning those particular flames.
Mhm.
Carl Witzman says, anytime I back something on Kickstarter, it's more for the artist than for the project. And Carl's not a comic reader
Mhm.
by habit, like you and I are. I've supported folks just because I like them and I want them to succeed. And
And
I
that's
think
always a good thing.
I think we appreciate that. We really do,
Mhm.
Carl. And I do the same thing myself. Just like we were talking last night, after the show with John Silvestri. Please check that show out. It turned out good.
Mhm.
But
Yes, that should
thank,
be on your must watch list.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
This one here, not so much unless you really want to deep dive into business in.
Oh, you shush! This is an awesome show. By gosh, I'm glad you're here. I really am. You're bringing a lot to the plate here. Yeah. But yeah, it's like we talked about that, and we talked about how a number of shows that I see, and there's a lot of shows that do the Kickstarter support thing, and God bless them, because we all need a forum to hawk our wares. But too many shows to me come off as infomercials. And a lot of people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And like Carl, they're going to back a person because they like them. I sold a book one time at a show to somebody who appreciated how I explained the difference between trademarks and copyrights, which that will put a platoon to sleep. I'm telling you, it'll knock them dead in their tracks. But she liked what I did. She goes, "I gotta buy a book from you." I'm like, I'm not gonna talk her out of it. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into this.
You want to hear a nice little story?
Definitely.
Of something like that.
Certainly.
Being at C2E2, you get a lot of people asking you different questions.
Right.
One of the questions that came to me is like, I had a lady with her child. Child was about like 6-7 years old.
Yeah.
It always happens on Sunday. It's like it's family day, this, that, and the other. She's going around looking for comic books that's all ages. So she comes to the booth and everything. It's like, well, do you have anything for him? It's like, unfortunately, ma'am, I don't, because most of our stuff is like 13 and older. But hit this booth, hit this booth, hit this booth, hit this booth, and hit this booth. They do have all ages stuff that might fit the criteria that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Never thought anything of it afterwards. So she hit those booths and everything. She found everything for what she was looking for. And then next thing you know, here comes a couple of people. It's like, oh yeah, you probably talked to this one lady that had the child. I was like, yeah. She told me about you. It's like, I'm interested in your books. Can you tell me about the books that they came and actually bought from you? Just because I took the time to tell them about other people's products that fits the category of what she was looking for.
It's good. Yeah. It's
and
good.
Out of appreciation, she sent people to me. I was like, you never know what goodness comes out of being good to other people.
You know that's called, don't you? What we call it around here, In action. And Eric Hawkins says, I have a hard time housing 500 copies. And
exactly.
And that's why print on demand is so useful. Rick Bradley, yes, we did miss you. We've been vamping till you could show up. And Sarah, lost track of the time, popping in to say hello. Love you, darling.
Hello.
Everybody knows Sarah. We love her. And let's see, here we go. And I've got a question. I see your question, Historical Fencing Guild, but I'm opening up a can of worms if I let it be asked. At first, says Rick Bradley, I wasn't too happy with higher prices for indie comics, I'll admit, but the entertainment value I've gotten from them far outweigh the price. Lately, I've enjoyed more indie than Marvel or DC. There you go. Now, here we go. Now, this is the one that is going to get us going, both of us. This is where I think we really bonded. Nick Tucker to the Historical Fencing Guild asks, are you an RPG gamer as well as comic creator?
Do I have to break out the role-playing stuff that I have here at the house and not the stuff that I have in my storage area as of yet?
Oh no, I think we could just give him a brief description because the historical.
I play a lot of the superhero RPGs here, and I do play a lot of other role-playing games on a sporadic occasion. I have done D&D from first gen to like third gen.
Yeah.
But I'm more known for the Marvel superheroes, the DC heroes, the Champions, the Heroes Unlimited, the Tri-City Games, Super Babes, stuff to that magnitude. So yes. I am.
Yes. Yeah, because I remember when I came on.
Is another one that I play a lot of.
Yeah. And well, Nick Tockert's working on one based on Luke Stone's Hybrids of Sons of Gods. Hey, Nick, I bet we've got a play tester here, brother. But yeah, when I came on your show, I think I got there like 15, 20 minutes early, and we spent most of the time before the show talking about our mutual love of the Champions role-playing game, third edition. So the answer is, oh, hell yeah.
And I still got some of the modules in my storage area. So it's like I only have the main book here because I use that for reference at times. I still have the Super Base book here because I use that for reference at times.
Yeah.
Somewhere around here, I still have the Hero System book somewhere around here.
Oh, yeah.
Those manuals do help with comic book writing.
Yeah,
because it makes you think about certain aspects of how you can connect certain powers together, or just certain aspects of character creation,
or psychological disadvantages.
Mm-hmm.
So, because that's all part of building your character. And thank you to everyone who's shared this show. I appreciate you very much. I'm getting news about that, but I didn't write your names down. So thank you, one and all. Brian Rodman, I did see your name. Luke Stone, and I think Mike Bergson, I saw your name. Thank you to everyone who's sharing the show. I hope you're getting something out of it. Let's see. Here we go. Carl Westman continues. Anyone who is complaining about the price is missing the whole point of owning a work by a person that you know or that you met in person. Very, very true. Sarah says the owner of Midgard Comics in Charleston, Illinois, a very fine establishment, is interested in how it works to do online comic conventions. Sarah, have them contact me. Because I've done quite a number. God knows I've done a number of them last year. So,
well, I'm not sorry if you want me to answer it, because
go for it. Seriously,
to me, there's two types. There's two types of online comic conventions here.
Right.
You got stuff like what Pops do. Pops bring in, all these different creators and everything, gives them about 30 minutes to tell them about what they do, how they go about doing it, what they have product wise, and to really talk more about themselves and what's their upcoming projects that they do. And you have the type of conventions which I had to deal with, the podcast, the podcast that I had to deal with. He actually does what is considered a true online convention, where it's like a format that he paid for, like this website that has like this format, and the format is, it's like everybody has a table, and you click on that table, you go directly to that exhibitor or that company or that vendor, and you see that vendor. The vendor has his wares right there in front of you, and you have a direct one-on-one with that vendor, which imitates you being actually on a showroom floor.
Right.
You do have online conventions like that. So there's two types. It really depends on which one that you want to deal with. I forgot the name of the software that person used, but there's a particular software. It is very expensive.
There are several others. I think maybe he was doing OBS. There was a free system called OBS, but it's like StreamYard. The more you pay, you get more bells and whistles.
That's to do like the face-to-face like we're doing right now.
Right.
But there's another software on top of that allows you to map out a showroom floor to mimic.
Oh, right. Okay, I know what you mean, and I don't remember the name of it. Yeah, because I don't have any intent to use it. So,
and that part that's the expensive part, because getting the OBS and everything, you get to get that for free and talk back and forth. But the way that the table's set up and everything is laid out, it's like, for example, each table could have anywhere between 4 to 6 people talking to you at one time. Yeah. And you actually conduct your transactions that way. And then once you leave that table, you go back to the showroom floor. You could go from vendor to vendor to vendor to vendor to that way.
Yeah, it gets pretty complicated. I think the first thing to do is figure out what you want to do. And start small. Don't be afraid to start small and make sure that you can handle this stuff. Because I see too many people that try to, be like a large convention, but we're all doing it from our living rooms, and sometimes that doesn't work out.
Yeah. So watch what Pops do first, and then if you want to get into that other aspect, then I give you the name of a couple of people that do the other thing.
Yeah. I think Hanging on Web Show did CyberCon early last year, and he had a similar setup. And I've seen a couple of other conventions that do the same thing. So Sarah, have those guys get in touch with one of us. We are easy to find, and have them subscribe to this man's channel on YouTube. We got to get him over 100 people. And Carl Westman says, sure, you can get a DC comic for cheap, but you probably won't meet that artist or become their friend. Yeah. Nope. Exactly. That's true.
Not unless you go to convention, and if they show up to convention because they have to they pay their own way to get to conventions
anymore. Yeah, the companies aren't going to pay them to do that. Eric Hawkins says, I remember Brian telling me years ago he would make me a dozenaire as opposed to being a millionaire. And it is so true. I have made a dozenaire.
All up here is like being a dollaraire is not a bad thing.
That's true. At least you're making a profit. Yeah, it's like there are people that they are a detonaire. So
right,
losing their shirt in hair. And Sarah says trying to get some independent comics into the store as well. And there are a lot of regional creators who would probably be glad if they just get a table space and the comic venue would promote them like they're getting Jack Kirby. In then they can make a go of it again. I'm only 2.5 hours away from Charleston. Not that I'm pimping for myself. Cindy Cap says at cons I didn't start breaking everything / making a profit until or breaking even or making a profit until I started selling dragons and Martians. From the books, I don't make enough profits to cover the table rent. Well, that goes into what Joe was saying about merchandising. I know a guy who he does great steampunk novels, and he was having someone create like the 30s Buck Roger type handguns, the ray guns and everything.
Right.
And I see him at shows. He's selling those off of. They're just supposed to be for display and to attract attention, but he's selling those hand over fist, and occasionally he sells a book. So it's just whatever the customer is interested in. Sarah says Harley Quinn was originally supposed to be a throwaway character, and look how vital she is to DC. You never know when your work is going to be very successful. And teach McFee the pleasures of spine licking. I love the out of you. We'll see if Joe is still willing later on. I'll teach him everything he needs to know. Now the upside down Australian cow, he's going to have to work up to it. The Historical Fencing Guild says comic. Go ahead. Joe's like, what show am I on? Dear God, what have I signed up for?
The first thing that crossed my mind, it's like, I hope that's nothing like a Dirty Sanchez.
No. It is not, sir. It is not. You impugn me. It is something that happened on the show where I was the guest on here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm still living it down. But anyway, comic book, the Historical Fencing Guild, Nick Tockert says comic book economics are a lot like selling hamburgers. Mom and Pop pay $5 a pound. McDonald's pays 3 cents a pound because of bulk order. They make 80 cents on a $1 burger. Mom and Pop make 50 cents on an $8 burger. You get it, Nick. You get it right there. And Cindy Cap says, what Transformer is made out of cardboard and shows up in 2 days? Amazon Prime. And Sarah says, McFee knows what he's talking about. No doubt. Thank you for being on Clever Title, McFee, even though I'm learning some things late in the show. Well, go back. You can go back when we're done, Sarah, and you'll get your pen and paper out. You will learn a bunch. Rick Bradley goes, civil discourse on the internet? What's that? Awesome job. Awesome job, Joe. And he's not Joe Dog. Joe Dog is someone else.
No, Joe Dog McHugh is a completely different person, even though we're part of the Joe Continuum, but we don't mention about that.
Yeah,
that's
and
that's a whole different story.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't talk about that. Not here. But anyway, no. But and sometimes those two will get on my feed, and I'll be like calling them each other's names. And thank God they're still my friends. I can see where they get mad at me. And Luke Stone says, "Good show tonight, Luke Stone. Always a pleasure to have you, young man. And congratulations on your brand new broadcast. Please put in a link to that. All right." Rick Bradley says, "I played TSR's Marvel Superheroes for years. I still have downloads of all the books, and will be playing that again. I love that. That was a great gateway.
I might share one of my campaigns someday.
Oh, sweet. And Nick is a talented game developer. Yes, he is. And I hear he's working with a primo designer. I saw that character sheet you guys showed off today. I'm excited. And Rick Bradley, Luke, and everyone's saying hello. And Sarah, thank you for the online convention advice for Midgard. And OMG, a Dirty Sanchez crying for laughter so hard. You never know what's going to happen on this show.
Licking spines, and I don't know what's going on beyond licking spines. I'm aware of licking spines. I don't know the technique because that's a secret technique. Only high level creators get to learn the technique of licking spines. Am I telling the truth or am I telling the truth?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, you are, sir. And
I
that's
mean,
one of the reasons I want.
at best, we get to know what it's like to sniff the ink.
That's right. That's right. We
We
are
take a
ink
book,
sniffers.
we take a book like this, and we go,
Yes. Oh,
oh.
yeah. Yes, and that's why I'm anxious for live conventions where we will be licking spines then if you play your cards right. And Rick Bradley says, "Oh, my bad. Joe D threw me off. I blame the really long work day." Well, I understand. He and Joe Dog McKeel look so much alike. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We look alike, we talk alike, we sound alike. It's just a Joe thing.
It is. It's like the Patty Duke show, but made real. And Sarah says, "Per to McFee's smile." Just saying. Oh, you've made a friend. And Ted Davies Artistry. Good evening, everyone.
Hey,
Good evening.
Ted.
Hey, Ted. How's it going, brother? And would you ever want your comic made into an RPG? Says the RPG.
I'm not against it. Not against it at all. Not against it.
All right. Hey, I'm getting you work, Nick. I'm getting you work here. And Sarah saying hello to Ted, as do we all.
Yes.
And we are at the top of the 10 o'clock hour. And
the weird thing is I can still go.
I know. Oh my God. I can tell you. I'll tell you what, we'll do one more question from me. How's that? And that will cover everything we've written down that you and I agreed on. Okay. So you can say I kept my promise to you. Why do American, and I think Nick Tockert may have given me this question. Why do American comics and animation, why do they not display more artistic diversity in terms of character ages, body types, ethnicities, etc.? Why do you think that is?
Well, that my honest opinion, and I'm one at that topic because it comes back down to the overall marketing, because when you do study groups for marketing, they look at what is Joe Everyman, but the thing about it is that they don't do this marketing across multiple decades. They do it like one time, and then like 50 years later on down the line, they redo it again. It's like, oh, we're mismarketing everything again.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And even now within comics and in animation, we're at that fragile stage. It's like with everybody clamoring about diversity, and even with diversity, people have a different idea of diversity. Diversity is not always about nationality, sex, race, or anything like that. It's just a difference. It's like instead of having a muscular guy, in some people's eyes, instead of having a muscular guy in that role, you have a skinny guy in that role. To them, that's diversity. So we have to come back and really take a look and just be like, just put the stuff out there. Stop caring about what market research is. And this is where I truly feel that a lot of the corporations, especially like the bigger companies, bigger publishing companies, is like they will always fall back to the bean counting type thing. We know that this over here will sell, but we don't want to take a chance on anything else that might not sell the amount of the volume that we want. So again, they want to keep, pushing the ultra voluptuous woman as opposed to the average, middle-aged woman. They're going to push the ultra muscular guy as opposed to the guy with the dad bod. It's not because they can't write a story about it. It's because they going based upon what they have researched and what has been consistent in sales. That's one of the advantages that we have as independent creators over them. We could show them that all this other stuff is marketable, and we've been making money hand over fist because of that. One of the key things about what drew one of the artists that I used to have in the original AWS series was the simple fact that all my wrestlers were not all one body type. I had different heights, different weights, different body types, different sizes, different cup sizes. It spawned the whole gamut, and that what drew her to it. Because AWF would have never came about until that one artist says, like, you should do it. And I was like, why should I do it? It's like, because you understood wrestling body types. You could make this something special. So I started doing AWF. And one of the key things that people kept saying after I started doing it, after the first 3 issues, they saying there's not enough wrestling up in it. So that's how Primetime Saturday Night came about.
Mm-hmm.
I cut my losses. Like, if you want pro wrestling and that's all you want, here's your WWF Raw book.
Mm-hmm.
This one series had given me an education on you could just about write anything in comic books and do it well.
Yeah.
When you read a Primetime Saturday Night book, it's pretty much like you sitting there watching SmackDown on television from beginning to end. I normally do like a five match card, which means like you get 4 matches plus a main event in each and every issue. That's the reason why it's 50 something pages each,
Sure.
50 something pages each issue. Because
Cool.
I'm not just going to give you like one match and be like, next issue this match. No, you get the full fight card each and every issue. We do pay-per-view issues in this series. So there's a like issue 0 and issue 3 are pay-per-views. So you have pay-per-view events in there. You have all of the announcing, all the backstage interviews, backstage calamities. The only thing that I really don't do, I don't do the blood because again, you're dealing with women. I don't want to get into the ultra violent aspect of it.
Right.
You're not gonna get power blasts and stuff like that because they do have superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to get 100% pro wrestling action with wrestling storylines between the characters.
Very cool.
So that's the kind of thing that like I brought that to the table all because other people took interest in it. I didn't think I could pull it off, but I did. And when people started seeing, after issue number 1, what I did with issue number 2, and then issue number 3, and then what I did with 0 to the origin story that started the original storyline in 1, people saw that, their value in what I was bringing in that issue. In the series. And the other cool thing about this series is that I do this all in computer graphics. This is all done through Thought Studio and using computer graphics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true.
So,
yeah, and that's a sort of title that I'm trying to remember the last time anyone in comics did like a wrestling based title. I remember there have been WWF comics,
right?
in the last few years.
Marvel did a WCW comic. Again,
that was brilliant. I love that.
I'm writing an article for our favorite publisher Grimley Fleming on that.
Cool.
Because I feel that the pro wrestling is a forgotten trope in comic books.
Yeah,
it fits so perfectly because like you have faces and heels, which is your good guys and bad guys.
Right.
You have simplistic stories like you had back in the old days of comic books, where you get hero see bad guy says something or did something despicable, good guy confronts them, they fight.
Yeah.
However, you roll randomized dice to see who wins, and then following issue, you come back at it a different way. It's like, now I'm going to get my revenge for you doing this. It's like, oh, you thwarted my attempt this time, but now I got such and such backing me up now. So now it's about to be double team.
Exactly.
Pro wrestling have a lot of that stuff built into it.
Yeah. I agree.
Just to show you, it's like, and I was a kid. It's like it's all done in 3D.
Lovely. That is beautiful. You do good work with that 3D thing.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And I love the different angles. That's fantastic.
So, I have to say that Primetime Saturday Night is kind of like my second biggest seller. Amazonian is still number 1, but by barely.
Uh-huh.
It's awesome. Just a difference in story. It's like pro wrestling fans draw to this. A lot of other comic fans draw to this once they get past, some of the artwork and stuff, and really get pulled into the story.
That's great. That is super. Carl Witzman says, indie artists and writers can fill that niche of diversity. Joe is right. The big guys don't want something that won't sell 10,000 copies. The indie person doesn't have to sell that many. Well, it's like we cover that on Comic Book Spectrum on Thursdays at 7 on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. And we, like I reviewed a book about gamers, that sling the dice.
The Knights of the Dinner Table.
Yeah, Knights of the Dinner Table. And we've covered probably more independent comics than we have mainstream stuff. So, and that's the strength that, I've been saying for years that, whatever your creativity, wherever it lies, do what you want to read.
Mhm.
And then market yourself, learn to promote yourself so that your demographic finds you, because
And
every
that's the
demographic is
problem.
out there, right?
That's the problem that I have. I
What,
don't market
marketing?
myself. Yeah, I don't market myself very well.
Well, I fall
I'm I,
short of it
I'm
occasionally.
I'm like a hidden gem. Most
There
most
you go.
most people know about me, but they don't. I don't like come out there and really show my work all that much. So it's like when I do shows like this, where I pull out the portfolio book, when I show you what I'm doing in
Yeah.
Clip Studio Paint, people are like, "You really do this. You're not just talking about it. You really
Mhm.
actually do this." I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't really prop myself up like, oh, I am the writer, and it's like, no, it's like I'm too busy doing this type of stuff to really just sit here and be like promote. It's like when I do promote, I do what I can.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's all you can do sometimes. But you hang with me, Joe. I'll turn you into a whore, just like I am. Okay? You just keep hanging with me, brother. I'll get you going. We'll find a lamppost together.
Tell my fiance how to become a pimp.
Oh, no. Mine's in the other room, okay? And her pimp hand is strong. Trust me. And Carl Witzman is right. Find your niche. And Cindy kept compliments that with, and keep niching down until you're the obvious choice in the niche. Carl?
Mhm.
Yeah, she's right. She is totally right. Rick Bradley says, I remember the White Wolf superhero RPG Aberrant had a Super Wrestling Federation source book. We, of course, put The Rock in there with Earth Powers and Tough Skin. I used to play the WWF role-playing game. I think I mentioned this the other day on the show. My character was called Dane Bramage. And my psychological limitation was I go berserk when I lose.
Oh, that could be fun.
Oh, it was great because I had people who saw that I was like winning, and this was like when who was it? Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think it was, had like his 100 consecutive wins and all that, and so like everybody saw me winning, and so everybody's like, "You want to be on my, you want to be a tag team with me?" And I'm like, "No, you might lose." And the thing is, and I explained to the game master, and he agreed with me. This was valid, that if we were to lose because of the other person. Now, if I got,
it would start a whole storyline with you going ape shit on that other person.
Exactly, I would probably try to kill the guy. Whereas if I lose, then I would take it out on myself. Okay, but
or the crowd throwing popcorn
yeah,
back.
whoever did it to me, whoever caused me to lose, I would take it out on them. But if I told him, I said, I will probably cripple someone if because my rolls were pretty good. If if he or she causes me to lose, and he goes, let's run with it, and it made for some interesting play. It was great. Also, my wife Cookie was playing a character called the Wichita Lineman, based on the old Glenn Campbell song.
Oh, okay.
And that was her introductory music, and our GM also played our music, and mine was pretty brief. Everyone's was pretty brief. She just came out and brought the whole 3 minutes and 54 seconds of it. And after the first chorus,
in my greatness as my song played.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the other players were like, well, I'm booing, I'm throwing things, I want the music to end. And Cookie just looks at them and goes, I come out on the last verse. That's the fun of role-playing games, kids. Yeah. So, and Cindy Kemp is doing her Ric Flair. Woo! And Joe, do your thing, sustain Davies artistry. Be authentic and success is yours. And Carl Weston says, BCAM is pimping people now. Wow. Play to your strengths. That's what I say. And the Historical Fencing Guild says Brian is an old school pimp and you know it. Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah, I am. And I thought he was just being pimped out by Madam Cookie. I guess I got confused for a second. I probably did too. And that's why Cookie's in the next room not knowing we're talking about him. That's why I'm still alive. But anyway.
She's preparing that powder just in case she overhears something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get dive bombed out. Yeah. I'm going to get jacked the minute I get out of the studio here. So. Oh, see the stuff we talk about here at late at night. But
and to think, this is just a tad bit of how we were just before my show. We were just
yeah,
that crazy.
yeah. Joe's probably thinking, well, he's such a professional, and then he sees the what you see here is me, not me. But when he sees me, and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, maybe I need to think more about vetting my guests a little more carefully. But
No, I didn't go that way. It's like,
oh, I know.
okay. So when we get to his show, it's like, do we get to be that, or do we have to be, oh, to answer your question, Miss Sarah,
Oh,
this is what we need to do. I was like, no, I hope we don't
oh,
have to do that. That's
hell
some
no.
garbage. That's
That
some garbage.
is. No, in all seriousness, for just a second though, don't panic, people. I want the real person, or as
Mhm.
close to the real person as we can get. It's like I want to ask the question you've never been asked before. I want people to get to know the Joe D. McFee I like. And the fact that you have you have a couple of incredible comic books to sell, that's almost incidental to what
Mhm.
we do here. We want people to discover new and different creators, and that's why you got the tap on the shoulder, sir. So
Yeah, I just sometimes people want to know who's the mastermind behind things. I'm not no mastermind. I'm just a crazy person that just think that he got a good comic book idea.
yeah. Well, crazy works. It's we've all got to be a little bit crazy to do this sort of thing in the first place and think we can make it work, and then to just keep doing it until we are either shown the error of our ways and we learn how to do it differently, or we find out we succeed because we are crazy and we don't listen to the people who tell us rather that we can't do this.
Don't do it. But in my case, part of this is also therapy. At least from my brother's aspect, while he was still living, he's like, "Why don't you do this? That's therapy for you."
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Well, since you touched on that, what do you find therapeutic about creating comics?
It's just more along the lines. This is a world that you control. This is a world. It's like when you're at your worst,
Mhm.
you can make your world that much better.
That's
It's
true.
not like a true escapism, but this is something that you control.
Yeah.
And once you know that you have control over, you could make those things like you having a bad day over here. Over here, you could write about having the most awesomest day ever, or you could write about how you would have dealt with it if you had the cojones to just be angry,
Right.
or just if you wanted to be sad, it's like you could be as sad as you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you have control over here. The rest of the world you don't have control over. So that's the reason why it was that's the reason why he felt that it was therapeutic,
Mm-hmm.
because he saw what I was trying to do with a lot of stuff that it's like with the stuff that I was dealing with in high school and stuff like that. And the frustration that I had with people telling me that, especially English teachers like, you're not comprehending a lot of these novels and stuff we're having you to read. It's like, no, I just not writing it well. I'm not, doing the whole rote memory thing,
Right.
spitting back what you're telling me to spit back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a hard time. This wasn't into college. It wasn't until college that I found out that it wasn't what I was writing, it was how I was writing.
Mm-hmm.
I had professors look at my papers and was saying, you have excellent ideas, you just don't know how to formulate it on paper.
Right.
And it's not because of lack of English composition, it was lack of how to develop the better paper.
Right. Right. Yeah. And and I think that's what separates a lot of creators from the people who would like to be creators. They don't know how to use the tools that are available, not just, computers and pens and paper and Ames lettering guides, but the stuff that's up here. How to
Mhm.
create a structure for a story that other people will want to read and
Yeah, exactly.
possibly identify with. So I think it's very profound there. I like that.
But that comes from living life. It's like most people, it's like I used to hate dealing with English. English was too variable. You could say the exact same thing 5 different ways. And all these things you say is like teachers would be arguing me left and right and right and left. It's like you just said it a different way. It's no different than how I said it. But to them, it really makes a difference. It wasn't until college that I found out that I was right.
Yeah.
And that not too many people understood that. And the simple fact that it was just more than just editing my stuff and correcting tense errors and stuff like that. It was more along the lines of getting to my thoughts more succinctly was the real issue.
Yeah.
Than, oh, you forgot to say, you changed this and you went from past to present and vice versa.
Right.
They say that was annoying, but you had a very deep thought and you were going in the right direction, but you derailed yourself.
Yes.
We need to fix that.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And, getting a good teacher will teach you that.
Mm-hmm.
Some are better than others. And let's see, we've got a few more comments casting aspersions on me. So Brian's character was George the Animal Steel, says Eric Hawkins. That could be.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't think he'd really lose it over losing. I think he would lose it over like somebody doing a cheap move against him. If somebody does like a low blow or something like that, he would lose it and will eat the turnbuckle and everything, as opposed to turnbuckle and just go crazy.
That could happen. That could have happened. Fortunately, we never lost a match before the game petered out. So I didn't break another gamer's heart, so to speak. Ted Davies Artistry says, Brian, the Fez, Pip, and Mac Daddy of Indie Publishing. And I wear it proudly, Brother Ted. I wear it proudly. Nick Tucker of the Historical Fencing Guild. So both of you, would you rather be written as a villain or villain/heel or as a hero/face? You first, Joe.
To be quite honest with you here, the type of wrestler I'd probably be written as would be more like Sting. He's either or. Mm-hmm. Or Kurt Angle, because he could be either or. Mm-hmm. Because you have to think about it. Stone Cold Steve Austin originally was a heel.
Yes, that's right.
And he stayed a heel until he became popular. And then he didn't really become a face, but he was that popular that people thought he was a face. Right. But he was really technically a heel. He just did what he wanted.
Yeah.
The Rock flipped between the two. Yeah. But the only person that I know that had that ambiguous be either or was Kurt Angle or Sting. Yeah. Because Sting was the guy that you always called up to, oh, we need to stop Ric Flair, where's Sting?
Yeah.
Right. This person's acting up, where's Sting? It's like, we got to deal with Hulk Hogan in the NWO, where's Sting?
Right.
It's like Sting was not necessarily the hero because, again, even when he was the villain, when he joined with NWO, it's like, oh, Hogan's doing all this stuff. Where's Sting? Sting would take care of him.
Yeah. Or sometimes they would not change their style of wrestling at all. They'd still be a little shady, but they would change who they used it against. Like I remember, and this is like way old wrestling from AWA, Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher.
Oh, you go old school.
I'm ancient school guy. I'm ancient school. But when I first started watching,
you remember the beginning days of like Sergeant Slaughter with AWA.
Oh yeah, Bob Backlund and all those guys.
What he could really do before he went over to WWF.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember Junkyard Dog taking 5 chair shots. I mean, not the chair shots that they do today. I'm talking about real.
Yeah. You hear it from across the room. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but, it's like a lot of these guys started out, as heels. And, they would be dirty. They'd be distracting the referee, foreign objects, et cetera, et cetera. And then all they did was they didn't change their wrestling style, but they changed it so that they're wrestling other heels. Mm-hmm. And so by comparison, they are the good guys. Face. Yeah, they become the face. So, but they haven't really changed what they do. As opposed to somebody like the Bushwhackers in the WWF, but they were previously the Sheep Herders, and they were dirty team. They were heels. But when they went into WWF, they became warm and cuddly faces. And it's just such a dichotomy between the two. You know, sometimes some guys could pull it off better than others. You know, Ric Flair could move between the two. Kurt Hennig could move between the two camps. But the Bushwhackers just never did it for me.
I haven't heard that name in a long time. It's like Kurt Hennig. Nobody remembers that he was Mr. Perfect.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember his Mr. Perfect phase, but he was a great. I think I've said this before on the shows, but I think he was a great salesman. He could sell the damn moves. The only person I ever saw that could do better was Ric Flair. I've always held that, you know, and this is like 98% of the people I ever saw Flair wrestle. He could make the other person look like they were worthy to wrestle the champ.
Mm-hmm.
And one night, it was in Champaign, Illinois. They were doing a WWF taping there, in fact, and they had Ric Flair versus Kurt Hennig. OMG, that was like a wrestling clinic. Two guys at the top of their game, each selling each other's moves. And, you know, most of the crowd had picked one or the other. I'm there every time either one did something. I'm on my feet just cheering, like they owe me money or something. So Cindy Cap says, don't order hay for your horse off Amazon. After a couple days, they'll ask for your feed back. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Rick Bradley says, I love Diamond Dallas Page during the NWO beginning in WCW.
Right, because Diamond Dallas was trying to fill that. Yeah, the diamond cut. Yep, yeah. The diamond cutter. He was trying to fill that Sting. He was trying to fill that Sting void because remember, Sting was gone at that time when NWO first appeared.
That's true. That's true.
And he was the reigning champ on top of that, if I remember correctly.
I think
was on the verge of winning, or on the
he was real close, if not the champ. I'd have to sit down and try to remember that. That's true. And Carl Witzman says this was a great show, but I have to go. You all have a great evening. Carl, thank you for being here, my brother. Yep. Hope you have a great night. Thank you for your attendance, sir. And with that, my friend, we are. That was Carl Witzman. I thought we were going to get another comment dump there, but anyway,
no, we don't pull Christians here.
No, we don't. And we're not. No. Oh, my God.
I love interactions. I would go as long as there's interactions, but we're not going to do the Christian.
Yeah.
And that is officially trademarked for this show.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to do a Christian. We're not going to do a Christian on the show.
Just like hashtag Cookie, you're in the frame. That is now officially trademarked.
You heard it from the man. There is no more debate on this. Okay. But I can tell you that all three of us, Carl and Amy and I from the show where I'm my own guest, all of us clenched when he said those words, and we're like, "Oh my God, does he know who he's dealing with?" And it's like,
I watched it. And the first thing I did is like my eyes went wide like this, and I just doubled over laughing. It's like, here it comes.
That's right. Oh, and sure enough,
he said it and meant it. It's like, I know you guys.
Yeah,
it's like doing this. Like,
oh my God, yes.
And I was like, if I was there live, I would have been like, oh really?
Yeah. I know what I'd do if I was in the audience. I'd be typing away. And of course, we just got more comments. And Chris Jericho has to be the best heel out there. He hams it up perfectly, says Rick Bradley. I agree. He sells it well. And Cindy Cap, thanks for hosting the adventure. Great fun was had by all. Cindy Cap, CKOEPV.com. Please check out our monthly newsletter. And Cindy, it was great being with you on the Legend of Traveling TARDIS tonight. And thank you so much for being here with your great jokes.
And thank you for the jokes. Now I know that we're on the same page.
Exactly. It's a sign of honor. She is our joke meister. And DDP was a world champion after a while, says Rick Bradley. Okay,
so
great.
He probably was world champion at that point.
I think you're right then. And Carlene says, interesting show, guys. Hashtag don't die because Cookie came home and caught you.
That's a new one.
That's a brand new one. Yeah.
One of these days, Carly, you're going to have to tell me the story about that one.
Oh,
like I said, it's like
she's met Cookie. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cookie in the frame. There is a story behind that, and that was just so hilarious.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Cookie is not one of those people. Something about there's only room for one attention whore in the family. I think it is, and somebody's cornered that already. But she just doesn't. She's not big into having herself photographed on
camera.
camera. Yeah. And she got in one time by accident. Although I got one of those Facebook reminders about 2 days ago. And we had just bought these Halloween masks, the full face things, those plastic ones that you just, all you have are the eye holes and the hairline and everything. And she had one, and I said, folks, everybody, you've been asking, she's gonna come into the frame now. And she came in wearing this bright red one that covered like her whole face except for her eyes, and she just leaned to the camera, waved and left. So, but when I bring her home, she said she will appear on camera on a show with me, not more than once, but she will do it the once.
But at least it won't be on accident, because that was purely an accident, because you was in a different room,
right?
And she was just by her own business, doing what she normally does, and you just like, really?
Gave her the opportunity.
It's like, I just hope you know that you're there.
That's right. That's right. And night, everyone. Carly, thank you,
Carly.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. And Joe, Brian, enjoyed the show. Have a great evening, says Ted Davies.
Night, Ted. I think we went over, because normally the show is like what, hour and a half.
About 2 hours, and we are at the 2:30 mark now.
Yeah, we're almost about to get ready to hit 3 hours.
Yeah, no, we aren't.
In trouble.
Oh yeah.
The other room it's like, did you bring the money from this show? But here's all I have.
Yeah, and it's like, money from this broadcasting. What does this say? I have no frame of reference for this, so we do it Joe and I do it out of the love of our hearts. So anyway, obviously, because there's nothing else. But anyway, no, Joe, honestly, dude, it's been so much fun having you here tonight. I hope you had a good time.
I hope that everybody enjoyed me here. I hope that you give me the tap to do this again soon, because like I said, this is like one of my few opportunities that I get to answer questions from the audience, as opposed to being the one asking them.
Oh yeah. It is kind of fun to be on other people's shows. I'm grateful to have gotten on your show, and definitely you will get a chance to get back on here again. I promise you that. Yep. So everyone, again, thank you all for your great questions and comments. And Jake Lindsay, we have nothing against jokes. I missed yours, but once we get the show rolling, this is a special show as opposed to Nevermind the Furthermore. There's a little more structure to it, so I hope you weren't offended. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to give Joe D. McFee the spotlight one more time, and he's going to tell y'all where to find him, where to keep up with him, and y'all should sign up on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, actually, this is the one cool thing. I'm going to make this announcement here.
Yes.
As of right now, I think it's still 3 slots still here in April for from the Desolate Small Press Publisher. So if you have a book or a Kickstarter or something that you're trying to promote, as long as you can be vetted, hit me up. The first one that's available would be this weekend. So you have to be pretty much on your P's and Q's and have everything in order for me to take a look at it, get it out there, to take a look at everything. And I can say yay or nay real quick. If not, I'm probably going to end up doing like a drawing with Joe or a review session or something of that magnitude for this upcoming Saturday show. But outside of that, we, like I said, three spots here. I believe Brian Rodman is going to be on April 28th. If he's watching, he would correct me if I'm right or wrong with that. But you could get your copies of Amazonia Primetime Saturday Night and AWF out there on my company website at exigencystudios.com. That's XIGENCY studios.com. If you want your books digitally, you could go out to Comixology. You just look up the company name, or you could do Amazonia AWF Primetime Saturday Night. We'll pull it up. We got all right issues there as well. Beyond that, be paying attention to 100 Killer Collectibles. They're going to have a virtual comic book signing with me soon here, as soon as I get the books over to them via mail. Probably would be within the next 2 weeks here, and hopefully beyond that. I do have a merch store also in on Teespring, so you could get t-shirts like this, actual face masks like the one that I wear most of the time that looks like this. You could get all your all of your CGC Studios all your CGC Studios merchandise off of our spring store. Unfortunately, I don't have that up right now, but if you look up at CGC Studios, you should see our store there. You can get all of our t-shirts, mugs, stuff to that magnitude there. And beyond that, I hope to see you guys this upcoming Saturday for our show from the Desk of the Small Press Publisher.
Excellent. This Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central.
Yep.
All right. Excellent. Excuse me. And, here we go. One last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Tucker would like to know, what do you wish folks would ask you, Joe?
Anything and everything. I just don't like politics. I really don't give too much politics because what I feel is politics and everything, it doesn't fit. And that only because of my background. Being foreign military, I've seen, politics and military don't mix well. So being that I'm former Air Force, I served for a little bit of time and then coming back and seeing how the civilian world works, knowing that the world does not really work that way, it's kind of like I stay away from politics. Religion is okay. Comic books is okay. General life stuff like, how do you get a girl to like you? Stuff like that. That's perfectly fine. But politics.
I agree. Good answer. Pardon me. Good answer and good question, Nick. Thank you very much, my friend. And thank you again, Joe D. McFee, for being on the show tonight. Really
Not
appreciate it. You were fantastic. Now, please, I'm going to mute you and put you in the background, and then we'll do our folder roll, and then please stick around so I can say goodnight to you, okay? All right. And we're going to see. All right. I'm going to do all the technical stuff. This is what happens when I'm on the air too long. And anyway, thank you all again for your questions, your great comments, and Cindy Cap, thank you again for the jokes as always. And thank you to Plasma Fire Graphics for sponsoring this episode. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you because it matters to your customers. So please give them the best. Check with Jeffrey Hayes. Also, please check out their Facebook page, Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. Also, thank you to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We've got a bunch of great shows 7 days a week. Please take a screen capture of this because we've got you covered with all kinds of information. Next show that'll be on will be tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central. Never mind the Furthermore with me, oddly enough. And we're going to have creative conversation and coffee. And then we were doing our Thursday night show, Comic Book Spectrum at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. We're going to talk about comics past, present, and future, reviews, and conversation. Please join us. It's a lot of fun. And thank you to our Patreon subscribers there who, thanks to their ongoing financial support, they bring a lot of this show up to the level that we would like it to be. So if you want to be part of this show and get your name mentioned in every episode we do, as well as every book we put out, every audiobook, whatever, please join us. Check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris and see what all we have, because we wouldn't want you to just get nothing for your money. Trust me, we've got things that may entice you, like looks at our private blog, and also our we have works in progress and other cool things like that. So anyway, if you're watching us on Facebook, whether it's live or on the rerun, we appreciate you all. If you're watching us on Facebook, please give this video a like. Any sort of reaction would be gratefully accepted. Also, please like the page you're watching on as a thank you to our hosts. And if you're watching us on YouTube, on the Brian K. Morris Rising Tide Publications channel, please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed any part of Joe D. McFee or the rest of the show tonight. And also, please subscribe. We're only about 24 people away from hitting 500. We would really appreciate your support, and be sure to ring the notifications so you know you'll be told whenever we pop up on the air. And with that, we are going to close the books on tonight's show again. Thank you to Joe D. McFee, who's got his own YouTube channel from the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. Also, check out exegestudios.com and check out the amazing work that Joe does. So anyway, folks, this is Brian K. Morris for Clever Title Pending, and for all the Clever Morians, thank you for being here. And as always, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. We'll see you next week on Clever Tile Pending, when our guest will be, I almost forgot this, will be the Phoenix Sister cosplay duo of Kelly Guntner and Crail Vanis. We're going to have those two wonderful ladies on the show answering your cosplay questions, so please join us then. Have a great evening, everyone, and take care. Bye-bye.
From author Brian K. Morris comes an epic tale of armor forged by a god, a hero forged by courage, and an ancient menace poised to re-emerge and threaten our world. Vulcana, Rebirth of the Champion, is available on Amazon.com. Get your copy today.